Chapter 338. Because of Yin Beiji's return, the Yin family's courtyard was bustling with activity for the next few days. There were a lot more people coming in and out of Su Wan's side courtyard. These people were naturally sent by Yarrow Baiqian to take care of Su Wan. There were maids from the family and doctors who specialized in treating the Yin family. Su Wan understood that Yarrow Baiqian purposely did this for Yin Beige to see. Su Wan knew Yarrow Baiqian's methods like the back of her hand. No matter what she sent, she would accept it all. She was a patient who couldn't get off the bed right now. Yarrow Baiqian wasn't very vigilant towards her either. She was happy to act as the young mistress who didn't have much time left. In the blink of an eye, it was December. The weather was getting colder and colder. It was almost the end of the year and the bandits on the mountain outside the city were getting restless again, committing crimes everywhere. As the successor that Yin Shun nurtured meticulously, Yin Beige naturally had to take the lead every time there was a war. This time, before leaving, Yin Beige specifically went to Yin Shun's residence and talked about Yin Beiqiao with his father for the first time. Yin Shun was surprised by Yin Beiji's suggestion to send Yin Beiqiao overseas. But then he thought about it. His youngest son really wasn't suited to lead troops to war. He might as well send him to learn how to do business. After he comes back and manages the Yin family's stores, he might not need to rely on his second son's salary anymore. Everyone said that every family had their own difficulties. Although Yin Shun was a general, there were hundreds of people in the Yin family. The salary of hundreds of thousands of soldiers in the army was money. Right now, the world wasn't doing well and the surrounding areas were in constant wars. Apparently, there were some university students in the capital who wanted to reform. In short, General Yin had to prepare for a rainy day. The conversation between the father and son was harmonious and tacit. In the end, Yin Shun also decided to send Yin Beiqiao overseas to learn how to do business. At the end of December, it was going to be New Year. Su Wan's illness had finally reached a point where she couldn't be saved. Right now, her courtyard was filled with Yarrow Baiqian's people. Shunning had also been asked to come to his residence. Today, just like what Su Wan knew, it snowed for an entire day. The entire Liao city was covered in silver. When Yin Beige rushed into the room with a gust of cold wind, Su Wan's gaze was a bit slack. Su Wan. Yin Beige didn't care about sweeping the snowflakes off his shoulders and body as he charged into the room. Second young master, eldest young mistress is already dying. Scram. Get out of here. After ordering the servants to leave, Yin Beige trembled as he carried the increasingly thin and weak body. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. I'll take you to see a doctor right now. You'll get better, you'll get better. Su Wan, you won't die. Losing something and losing it right in front of his eyes were two completely different feelings. At this moment, Yin Beige panicked. Beige. Su Wan's gaze was lax, but her tone was as gentle as before. How long had it been since she had called his name so gently? Yin Beige trembled as he gently caressed Su Wan's pale face. I'm here. I'm here. Hee. Su Wan smiled faintly. Beige, I'm going to leave. I can't bear to part with you. But I need to go accompany Brother Beiyu. He's really lonely. He's such a gentle person. Although we're only husband and wife in name, I know. I always knew that he likes me. On the night of their wedding, he lifted the veil and saw her for the first time. He liked her. That was the so-called love at first sight. Yin family's brothers fell in love with the same woman at first sight at different times. Unfortunately, she lived in pain because she wasn't the female lead of this world. Big Brother Beiyu told me that when you came back, you would marry me. I've been waiting. Beige, why? You don't believe me, you don't believe him either. Do you know how painful it is for me? No, don't say it. Yin Beiji's tears fell on Su Wan's face. Drop by drop, the warm tears couldn't warm her cold face anymore. I'm so tired, really tired. Su Wan's voice grew weaker and weaker. Her gaze was about to lose its light. Yin Beige suddenly hugged her tightly in his arms. Xiao Wan, don't leave me. Please don't leave me. I love you, Love, Su Wn slowly opened her mouth and slowly took out an exquisite sachet from her arms. Beige, this is my hair, can you take it with you? That way. I can always be with you. No matter what happens, wherever you are, I'll be there. I'll never leave you. Never leave you. Yin Beige held the sachet in his hands, his voice choking. Okay. I promise you. I'll promise you anything. Then, that's good. I have one last wish. After I die, bury me next to Beiyu. Let me be with him. This. I owe him. Before she could finish, Su Wn had already stopped breathing in Yin Beige's arms. Xiao Wan. This night, it was snowing heavily. Yin Beige's eyes were red as he hugged Su Wan's body that was gradually turning cold. He didn't close his eyes the entire night. The second day, Yarrow Baiqian ordered her adjutant, Lu Anbua, to forcefully knock Yin Beige out and take him away. As for Su Wan's body, she was naturally sealed in a coffin, planning on choosing a day to bury her. In the Yin family, women didn't have a high status. Plus, Su Wan was Yin Beiyue's widow. Her mourning hall was cold and cheerless. In the silent night, Yin Beichao was the only one wearing mourning clothes and wearing a white cloth, kneeling in front of the coffin. Late at night, the north wind whistled. The paper money in the brazier in front of the mourning hall had already burned to ashes. Soft footsteps could be heard behind him. I told you guys not to come anymore. I won't leave. Yin Beichao's voice was hoarse, but the young man's tone was really firm. Why? A cold male voice rang behind him. Yin Beichao froze. He turned to see Yin Mingya wearing a black cloak standing behind him. Third uncle, why are you here? I'm here to see her. Su Rui glanced at the coffin in the middle of the mourning hall. It was almost time. He had to take Su Wan's corpse away. But what surprised Su Rui was that there was someone keeping vigil for Su Wan at this time. Just in case, Su Rui specially went to Yin Beige's room before nightfall and pressed his sleeping acupuncture point, ensuring that he wouldn't wake up tonight. Hearing Su Rui's words, Yin Beichao glanced at him strangely. Then he kowtowed to Su Rui. Third uncle, you're too kind. This is, Yin Beichao's actions surprised Su Rui. What's going on with this kid? I promised sister-in-law that I would take care of her when she's old. Now, she's gone. I have to wear mourning clothes for her. Sister-in-law doesn't have any children, so I'll be her son. Hearing Yin Beichao's words, Su Rui lifted his brows and smiled. He slowly walked to the coffin. You're right. Beichao, you're so filial. Your sister-in-law will be really happy if she finds out. Bang. Saying this, Su Rui gently patted the coffin and then pushed open the lid. Under Yin Beichao's flabbergasted gaze, he carried Su Wan out of the coffin and wrapped her in a black cloak. Third uncle, sure. Chapter 339. The ice and snow melted and the spring arrived. The new year arrived on schedule. In the new year, there were many changes in the Yin family's courtyard. Ever since Su Wan's illness passed away, her courtyard became the Yin family's forbidden area. Other than Yin Beige, no one dared to step in there. At the beginning of February, Yin Beichao left the Yin family and stepped on the ferry to cross the ocean. Yin Shun asked someone to bring him overseas to learn finance. But General Yin definitely didn't expect that after a few years, the return of this finance genius would be the entire Yin family's nightmare. Because of Su Wan's death, Yin Beige was depressed. Yarrow Baiqian sighed at her son's infatuation. If she didn't selfishly separate Su Wan and Yin Beige back then what would the situation be like today? Would their family be harmonious and their children and grandchildren would be around them? Unfortunately, there were no IFS in this world. There was no medicine for regret. In May, the remnants of the bandits who were captured colluded with Yuncheng's army and started burning, killing, and looting around Liao City. Right now, Liao City, Lincheng, and Yuncheng's relationship was really tense. Both sides almost shed all pretenses of cordiality. At such a sensitive time, Yin Shun naturally couldn't admit defeat to Yuncheng's people. He ordered Yin Beige to bring troops out of the city again. But during this battle, Yin Beige fell into the sea and disappeared, the news of Yin Beiji's disappearance spread to the Yin family. Yarrow Baiqian and Yarrow Ruofeng immediately fainted. Although Hu Huiyu also looked anxious, she was overjoyed inside. Yin family's two legitimate sons. One died and the other went missing. If Yin Beige died too, then wouldn't her son, Yin Beichao, be the general's only son? Thinking of this possibility, Hu Huiyu felt every cell in her body trembling in excitement. Right now, in the third master's courtyard. Wife, do you feel better today? When Su Rui walked into the bedroom, he saw Shunning combing Su Wan's hair. Her beautiful hair finally had luster. It was no longer as dry and lifeless as before. I feel much better, Su Wan smiled at Su Rui. Su Wan smiled at Su Rui. At this time, Su Rui walked behind her and snatched the comb from Shunning's hands. He combed Su Wan's hair gently and seriously. Shunning saw this scene and immediately retreated obediently. In the past few months, Su Wan had been recuperating in her room. Su Rui also helped her adjust her internal breathing every day. The remaining poison in her body was cleared out, but this body's internal organs had been seriously infected by the poison. Even if the remaining poison had been cleared, this body was still much weaker than the average person. Moreover, she had at most 5 years left to live. 5 years was enough for Su Wan and Su Rui to destroy the Yin family. But thinking that his wife had to drag her sickly body to do missions in this world, General Su's heart ached. He had given her everything he could and wanted to give her, but there were some things that had already happened, and he was still helpless. Done. Sensing that Su Rui was distracted, Su Wan raised her hand and held his hand with her slightly cold and slender fingers. Don't comb it, it's already very beautiful. She looked at the face in the mirror that had regained its former beauty and couldn't help but smile charmingly. Time is tight now. Have you prepared everything that should be prepared? Yes. Su Rui nodded softly. I found someone to buy Drunken Smoke Lane. In the future, you'll be the lady boss there, Xuelinglong. No one will suspect your identity. I've prepared your name card and your past. It's flawless. Amen. I'm most at ease with third master handling things. Su Wan smiled and slowly stood up. Then let's start tomorrow. Wife, don't work too hard. Your body, Su Wan moved closer to Su Rui and tiptoed to gently kiss his lips. It's fine. With you here, I don't have to work hard at all. Su Rui's gaze dimmed. He lifted the woman in front of him and carried her. Okay, go rest first. We'll go to Drunken Smoke Lane tomorrow. Liao City, Drunken Smoke Lane. This used to be the biggest dance lane in Liao City. Unfortunately, ever since the popular singer, Lady Bailing, died last year, the business got worse and worse. In the end, the boss had no choice but to sell the entire Drunken Smoke Lane at a low price. Even if it was the lowest price, it was still a sky-high price for ordinary people and even ordinary merchants. Now that the Drunken Smoke Shop had changed owners and had reopened, everyone was curious as to what the Drunken Smoke Shop would become after the change of ownership. Looking at the magnificent entrance and the signboard covered with red cloth, everyone was curious as to what the Drunken Smoke Shop would become after the change of ownership. The auspicious time is here. With a loud and clear shout, the firecrackers went off and the lion dance team at the entrance began to dance with all their might. As the lion's head picked up the red silk on the signboard, the words Linglong Lu appeared in front of everyone. Linglong Lane, Drunken Linglong. Yenshua Yarolan, Red Sleeve Dance. This was the most popular jingle in Liao City's men's circle this spring. Linglong Lane. Just like its name, the lady boss, Xue Linglong, had a white veil covering her face and was brimming with talent. As for her three main beauties, Bai Yenshua, Hua Yarolan, and Yang Xiuwu, they were all extremely beautiful and beautiful. They were the goddesses in the hearts of all the men in Liao City. Unfortunately, Linglong Lane's expenses were really high. The wine was mellow, the people were beautiful, the songs were sweet, and the dances were enchanting. Ordinary people couldn't afford it. Only the wealthiest people in Liao City could become the Four Beauties' guests. Third Master Yin was one of them. Some people even saw him spending the night in Xuelinglong's room. Therefore, the news that Linglong Lane was backed by the general's residence and Xue Linglong was Third Master Yin's lover slowly spread throughout Liao City. The people of Liao City were initially worried about Third Master Yin's recent changes. But ever since the news that Third Master Yin was infatuated with Xue Linglong, the people of Liao City finally heaved a sigh of relief. Lord Xue, you're the reincarnation of Guanyin Bodhisattva. Hurry and take care of that evil door for everyone. Indeed, although it was a singing and dancing house, Linglong Lane accepted all the male and female guests. Plus, Lord Xue Linglong often brought people from Linglong Lane to help the poor people. She also gave out free porridge and steamed buns to the refugees who fled to Liao City. In everyone's eyes, she was definitely a really good woman. And this woman was going to be with Third Master Yin. Therefore, this was what everyone thought. Lady Xue was a good person. A really good person. She was afraid that Third Master Yin, this Evildor, would continue to harm the women in Liao City, so she sacrificed herself. This was what the Buddhists meant: if I don't enter hell, who will? Su Rui was speechless. Go to hell tilde of course, different from the people's groundless accusations, the first and second master of the Yin family knew that their good-for-nothing brother was finally going to settle down and find a good woman to marry. Because of this, Yin Shun and Yin Chungmo called Su Rui back to the Yin family's courtyard. The three brothers sat around the table, drinking and chatting happily. Third brother, just what kind of beauty is she? You're so mesmerized and you're still not willing to bring her home for us to see. Yin Shun drank a mouthful of wine and smiled at his third brother. Yeah. Yin Chungmo couldn't help but smile at his brother too. That boss Xue has been wearing a veil all this time. Does she have a birthmark on her face that can't be seen by others? Or, is she really more beautiful than a fairy? Hair. Chapter 340. The painting slowly unfurled. The woman in the painting had black hair tied up high and wore a red dress. She was enchanting and charming. The person in the painting sat in front of a zither, looking down and playing seriously. Her fingers were slender and fair, her smile cold and charming. Yin Shun and Yin Chungmo put down their wine glasses at the same time and glanced at the person in the painting. Not bad. Not bad. Yin Chungmo couldn't help but praise her. She was cold and charming. Women like her were the most flirtatious. Yin Shun didn't say anything. He just quietly looked at the person in the painting. Elder brother? Yin Chungmo froze, seeing that Yin Shun was in a daze. Although the three brothers liked beauties, what kind of beauties hadn't their elder brother seen before? Even if Xue Linglong was a peerless beauty, she was still their third brother's woman. Elder brother? Yin Chungmo nudged Yin Shun gently. Ah. Yin Shun finally reacted. There was a trace of awkwardness in his eyes. Second brother, don't you think that boss Xue looks like someone? What? Yin Chungmo listened to his big brother's words and couldn't help but lean in front of the painting to take a closer look. I didn't think so, but now that big brother said it, I really feel that it looks a little familiar. Sigh. Hearing their conversation, Su Rui put away the scroll and sighed. Eldest brother, second brother, I won't hide it from you guys. Linglong does look like someone, but because she looks too much like that person, I don't dare to bring her back to the residence. I'm afraid sister-in-law won't like it. Your sister-in-law doesn't like it. Yin Shun's gaze brightened. It's her. Speaking of women that his wife didn't like, other than the women around him, Yin Shun knew that his wife disliked the most was the deceased eldest daughter-in-law, Su Wn. Now that he thought about it, Xue Linglong and Su Wn really looked alike. But Su Wan was a lady from a respectable family. She was well-educated, gentle, and docile. As for Xue Linglong, he could tell that she was a cold and strong-willed woman. The two looked alike but not alike. Oh. At this time, Yin Shun let out a long sigh. Don't worry about your sister-in-law. She can't control your courtyard's affairs, but… Big bro, are you talking about beige? Su Rui's gaze flickered, immediately understanding Yin Shun's underlying meaning. Yin Beige had been dispirited after Su Wan's death. Who in the Yin family didn't know that the young general had feelings for the eldest madam? Even if Yarrow Ruorfeng was jealous now, she couldn't compare to a dead person. Ever since Yin Beige disappeared not long ago, Yin Shun had been sending people to search for him. A few days ago, he finally received news that Yin Beige was recovering in a small fishing village. Yin Shun immediately arranged for Lu Anbo to bring people to pick him up. Calculating the distance, he would return to Liao City in 3 to 5 days. Big brother, Beige's injuries are more important. Su Rui looked up and pretended to be righteous. Linglong and I aren't in a hurry to get married. We'll talk about our marriage after Beige recovers. All right. Hearing that his third brother had become so sensible, Yin Shun felt comforted. Yin Chungmo drank a few more mouthfuls of wine and then touched Su Rui's arm mysteriously. Third brother, they say that Linglong Lu's Yang Xiuwu is the #1 dancer in Liao City. Second brother, I don't have time to go and support her. When are you going to tell Boss Shui to have Miss Yang dance for me at my residence? Hearing Yin Chungmo's words, Su Rui smiled knowingly. If it was someone else, Linglong would definitely be reluctant. But this is second brother's request. I'll go back and tell Linglong. Second brother, just wait. Haha. Yin Chungmo raised his wine cup. Come, third brother, second brother will toast you. 3 days later, Lu Anbo brought a group of people to pick up Yin Beige who hadn't fully recovered yet. What surprised everyone in the Yin residence was that Yin Beige actually lost his memories. Yarrow Baiqian's emotions were complicated after hearing this news. While her heart ached for her son, she also rejoiced. Beige lost his memories. Did that mean that he also forgot about Su Wan? Yarrow Ruofeng's emotions coincided with Yarrow Baiqian's. Seeing Yin Beige in a daze on the bed, Yarrow Ruofeng couldn't help but reveal a gentle and charming smile. Beige, it's okay if you don't remember me. You'll remember me one day. Don't give yourself any pressure. Saying this, Yarrow Ruofeng lifted her hand out of habit, wanting to place her hand on the back of Yin Beige's hand, but Yin Beige dodged her hand as if he was electrocuted. I want to be alone. He was really familiar with the Yin family. He also felt a trace of resistance from the bottom of his heart, as if something really bad had happened here and he didn't want to recall it. Just what had happened? Why couldn't he find that familiar figure in this familiar residence? Unknowingly, Yin Beige thought of Guangli's figure again. That woman was really similar to the person in his mind, but there were a lot of differences. Yin Beige's return caused the haze that shrouded the Yin family to dissipate quite a bit. After finding out that Yin Beige lost his memories, Yin Shun didn't think it was a big deal. Instead, he thought of Yin Mingya's marriage. While Yin Beige lost his memories, it seemed like a good time for Mingya and Shui Linglong to get married. Perhaps, Beige wouldn't remember the past for the rest of his life. As long as he sealed everyone's mouths in the Yin residence, then Yin Beige would never know of Su Wan's existence. Just like that, on the 5th day of the 6th month, Yin family's third master married the boss of Linglong House, Shui Linglong. Yin family's third master's wedding was naturally grand. Unfortunately, the bride wore a bright red veil the entire time, disappointing the guests who wanted to see Boss Shui's true appearance. The entire wedding went on for a day. It was especially grand and lively. Because Su Wan's body was weak, Shunning helped her into the bridal room to rest early while Su Rui naturally dealt with the guests outside. Third madam, if you're tired, then rest first. I'll go watch the door. Although Shunning knew Su Wan's identity, she always remembered Su Rui's orders. No matter if it was in front of others or behind them, she always called Su Wan third madam. Okay. Su Wan nodded hearing Shunning's words. Right now, she had taken off her phoenix coronet and cape. She was only wearing a red wedding gown. Although Yin family's wedding ceremony was much simpler than the ancient royal families, her body couldn't take it right now. Just as Su Wan, who was in the room, took off all the ornaments on her head, loosened her hair bun, and planned to take a nap under the red dragon and phoenix quilt, a burst of subtle footsteps suddenly came from outside the door of the bridal chamber. Hurry. I've already tricked Shunning away. If she comes back, she's going to complain to third uncle, the man said with a guilty tone as he approached the bridal room's door. Damn, Yin Bei, you stepped on my foot. Yin Beiyang. I'm your elder brother. Who are you calling yourself my elder brother? Yin Bei lifted his foot and then glared at his younger brother. Cough. These two were the second master's sons. The eldest master, Yin Bei, and the second master, Yin Beiyang. Because Yin Chengmo was always doing business outside, his two sons were his left and right arms. Normally, you wouldn't be able to see these two young masters in the Yin family's courtyard. But tonight, because the two had heard of Boss Shue's name, they couldn't wait until tomorrow morning. They wanted to see Boss Shue's true appearance tonight. Of course, because these two were a bit lacking in courage, Yin Bei brought a protective talisman. Second brother, hurry up. Seeing the indifferent Yin Beige dilly-dallying, Yin Beiyang couldn't help but step forward and pull him over. Stop dilly-dallying. What if third uncle's people find out? Yin Beige was speechless. Chapter 341. From the window of the bridal room, they could only see the flickering candlelight in the room. Hey, hurry up. Yin Beiyang was already under the bridal room's window. He used his finger to poke through the window paper and then stuck his head out, looking inside curiously. Do you see? Do you see? What does third aunt look like? Before coming to the bridal room to peek, the two brothers had even made a bet. Yin Bei had always believed that the woman who could make his third uncle turn back must be the most beautiful woman in the entire Liao city. However, Yin Beiyang had a different opinion from his brother. He looked inside the room, but unfortunately, his position and line of sight weren't good. He could only see the other end of the bridal room. Forget the bride, he couldn't even see the bride's feet. I can't see. Why are you rushing me for? Yin Beiyang turned around and glared at Yin Bei. Then, his gaze shifted and he walked to the door with his back bent. His hands gently pushed the door crack. Hey, hurry over. You should be able to see her face from here. Hearing Yin Beiyang's words, Yin Bei immediately grabbed the speechless Yin Beige and walked to the door excitedly. Who? Why are you acting so sneakily? At this time, Shunning's loud scolding suddenly rang from behind the three. Damn. Yin Beiyang panicked and pounced towards the door. Clang. He pushed open the bridal room's door. Inside the room, Su Wn froze seeing Yin Beiyang on the ground in a sorry state. Then she subconsciously looked up and saw Yin Bei and Yin Beiji's faces. Hiss, I saw a ghost. Yin Bei immediately exclaimed seeing Su Wan's face. Yin Beiyang hurriedly got up. He swept the dust off his body while smiling awkwardly. The moment he saw Su Wan, his smile froze. Really like. Although the brothers didn't spend much time in the Yin family, they still had a deep impression of Su Wan. You guys. At this time, Su Wan narrowed her eyes and looked suspiciously at the three young masters at the door. Third madam. At this time, Shunning sprinted into the bridal room. Seeing the three people at the door, her gaze swept over Yin Beiji's face. Then she lowered her eyes and said respectfully, Third madam, these three are the young masters of our Yin family. These two are from the second master's family. This one is the marshal. Oh. Hearing Shunning's words, Su Wn nodded in understanding. Then she turned slightly and smiled faintly at the three people at the door. Third master hasn't returned yet and you guys are here to mess around in the bridal room. Isn't it a bit early? Hearing her gentle and slightly teasing voice, Yin Bei immediately gave Yin Beiyang a look. The two brothers grabbed Yin Beige's arms and were about to walk out. However, Yin Beige still stood where he was. From the moment the door was accidentally knocked open, he immediately saw the woman in the wedding dress on the red wedding bed. As the saying goes, a single glance can last for 10,000 years. When he first laid eyes on her, his entire heart was trembling non-stop. Is it her? Is it her? The person in his memory, the face in his memory. They really do look alike. Yin Beige froze in place. His body was as hard as a rock, making the thin and weak young master Yin feel helpless. Is it you? Yin Beige said shakily. Although he hadn't recovered his memory yet, the outline of the person in his mind was gradually becoming clearer. Hearing Yin Beige's voice, Su Wn furrowed her brows. Marshal, what are you talking about? I don't understand. It's a misunderstanding. Third aunt, Marshal is injured. His mind is a bit messed up. Yin Beiyang moved in front of Yin Beige in a flash, blocking his line of sight. Beige, Third uncle is coming back. Let's hurry back. Saying this, Yin Beiyang moved closer to Yin Beige's ears and whispered, Beige, don't mess around. This is third aunt, not the person in your heart. That person. Hearing Yin Beiyang's words, Yin Beige's gaze landed on his face. You know who that person is. Yin Beiyang opened his mouth but was at a loss for words. After all, the marshal had ordered him to keep quiet. Damn. What are you guys waiting for? Third uncle is back. Hurry and leave. At this time, footsteps and voices came from outside. Yin Bei anxiously grabbed Yin Beige's arm. Brother, you're my real brother. Let's go. If there's anything, let's talk when we get back. Saying this, the two grabbed Yin Beige's arm and hurriedly fled the bridal room while Yin Beige was in a daze. Seeing the three young masters leaving, Shunning furrowed her brows and turned to look at Su Wan nervously. Third madam, it's fine. Su Wan smiled faintly. She wasn't afraid that Yin Beige would recognize her. She was afraid that he wouldn't recognize her. Moments later, Su Rui slowly walked into the bridal room. He waved his hand and Shunning immediately left respectfully. Are you okay? Su Rui sat by the bed and looked at Su Wan. He habitually touched her fingertips. Thankfully, she wasn't too cold. I'm fine. Don't be so careful. Who am I? I won't die. Seeing how careful Su Rui had been these past few days, Su Wan couldn't help but poke his face. Third master, do you want me to help you change your clothes and sleep? Chem. Hair. Su Rui smiled. Third master is in a good mood today. Let me help you. Saying this, Su Rui removed Su Wan's wedding dress and then carefully helped her lie down on the bed. You've been tired all day. Go to sleep early. Tomorrow, we need to go to the residence to see Yarrow Baiqian. Right, how did Yin Beige react? Oh, I feel like Yin Bei will tell him what happened in the past. Anyways, there'll be a good show tomorrow. Saying this, Su Wan closed her eyes and smiled softly. Hubby, good night. Good night. Su Rui leaned over and kissed Su Wan's cheek. Then he lifted his hand and extinguished the oil lamp in the room. Tonight, the couple slept peacefully while Yin Beige returned to the Yin family residence. He was standing at the door of the side courtyard. No one had taken care of this courtyard for a long time. Walking through the door, he saw that the weeds were really tall. This is where she used to live. Yin Beige asked softly as he slowly closed his eyes. So familiar. This is the place. He sensed it. Behind her, Yin Bei nodded and sighed. Beauties are unfortunate. She used to be in good health, but ever since Beiwe's brother passed away, Su Wan's health got worse and worse. Even Dr. Sun couldn't do anything about her illness. Dr. Sun? Hearing Yin Bei's words, Yin Beige paused slightly. Yin family has a doctor with the surname Sun. Though he had just returned a few days ago, Yin Beige had seen many doctors due to his injuries, but he had never seen Dr. Sunday. Dr. Sun is the oldest doctor in the Yin family. But Beige, you might not remember because you lost your memory. Dr. Sun passed away a few months ago. I think not long after Su Wan passed away. Yin Bei didn't know much about Dr. Sun's death. After all, he often traveled for business. When Sun Zhengyi died, he was still outside. What a coincidence. Hearing Yin Bei's words, Yin Beiji's gaze changed slightly. How did a good person suddenly fall sick and medicine couldn't cure her? And the doctor who treated her also passed away not long after she passed away? Chapter 342. The next morning, the Yin family's courtyard still had remnants of yesterday's celebration. This was the first time the Yin family sat in the dining room so neatly, waiting for the newlyweds to wake up. Because Su Wan's body wasn't well, they woke up a bit late. By the time the two changed into new clothes and walked into the dining room, breakfast was served. Ah! The moment Yarrow Ruorfeng saw Su Wan, she suddenly exclaimed. Her face paled and the chopsticks in her hands fell to the ground. Ruorfeng. Yarrow Baiqian scolded in a low voice. Yarrow Baiqian was surprised to see this face too, but she had been through a lot. She wouldn't lose her composure like Yarrow Ruorfeng. Plus, in the past, Yin Mingya went to Su Wan's side courtyard. Although after that, Yin Mingya expressed that he liked shunning in Su Wan's courtyard, Yarrow Baiqian had already determined that Su Wan was a vixen that specialized in seducing people. Therefore, she suspected that Yin Mingya was actually interested in Su Wan. Now that Su Wan had passed away, it made sense that Yin Mingya married Shui Linglong, who looked like Su Wan. What's wrong? Sensing Yarrow Ruofeng's fear, Yin Beiji's gaze subconsciously darkened and he asked in a low voice. No, nothing. I just have a headache. Yarrow Ruofeng knew that she was being rude and immediately sat back down nervously. Yu Xiu also called the kitchen servants to change a new pair of chopsticks for Yarrow Ruofeng. At this time, Su Rui had supported Su Wan and walked in front of everyone. The three brothers of the Yin family had lost their parents when they were young. As the saying went, the eldest brother was like the father. Today was their first day of marriage, so they naturally had to serve tea to their two elder brothers and sister-in-law. The steward placed the teacup in Su Wan's hands. Su Wan walked forward and smiled at Yin Shun and Yarrow Baiqian. Elder brother, drink tea. Eldest brother, drink tea. Okay. Yin Shun and Yarrow Baiqian each took the teacup. Yarrow Baiqian smiled faintly at Su Wan. Linglong, you're part of the Yin family from now on. You and third brother need to live well and try to help the Yin family grow. We're all boys. If you guys have a daughter in the future, she'll be the precious daughter of the Yin family. Saying this, Yarrow Baiqian placed an exquisite brocade box in Su Wan's palm. This is a small gift from brother and sister-in-law. Thank you, big brother and sister-in-law. Su Wan put away Yarrow Baiqian's gift and then walked over to Yin Chungmo and Bu Ningshan. Second brother, drink tea. Second sister-in-law, drink tea. All right. Yin Chungmo looked at Su Wan, very satisfied. Cough. Who told her to have such a beautiful dancer under her? Bu Ningshan also happily gave Su Wan a present. It looked more expensive than Yarrow Baiqian's. Actually, Bu Ningshan had been suppressed by Yarrow Baiqian all these years. She had been dissatisfied. Now that Su Wan had married into the Yin family, Bu Ningshan felt that her chance had come. With Su Wan's appearance, Yarrow Baiqian would definitely keep a respectful distance from her. This was a good chance for her to rope in third brother and his wife. After a sumptuous breakfast, the whole family looked happy and harmonious, but in reality, undercurrents were surging. After eating breakfast, Su Wan didn't stay in the Yin family's courtyard for long. Su Rui ordered someone to drive her to Linglong Brothel. At this time, Linglong Brothel had just opened for business. Seeing the boss and lady boss come, the people in the brothel immediately surrounded them. Bai Yanxue, Yang Xiuwu, and Hua Yarolan. Su Wan and Su Rui spent a lot of money to nurture them. They were beautiful and talented. Of course, Su Wan didn't nurture them to make money for Linglong Brothel. Her target was naturally the Yin family. Xiuwu, how does Yin Chungmo treat you? Returning to Linglong Brothel's main room, Su Wan sat on the chaise longue. Her expression immediately turned cold. Boss, Yin Chungmo isn't shrewd. This subordinate is confident that I can control him, but that Bu Ningshan, leave Bu Ningshan to me. Su Wan smiled. Yin family's backyard is my battlefield. You guys just need to help me deal with the men of the Yin family. Saying this, Su Wan glanced at Bai Yanxue. Yanxue, in a few days, Third Master will arrange for you to perform at the general's residence. You need to remember that the general likes gentle women. You just need to make him think that you're cute and obedient. Yes. Bai Yanxue immediately nodded respectfully, hearing Su Wan's words. Su Wan glanced at Hua Yaolan again. Hua Yaolan's voice was really good and she was pretty too. She was Su Wan's biggest trump card. How's the folk song I told you to practice? Boss, I'm done. Hua Yaolan answered confidently. Hearing her words, Su Wan smiled faintly. That's good. Take good care of your voice these days. I'll have someone specially order a red dress for you. After a while, you should be able to use it. Yin family's courtyard, main room in the backyard. When Yarrow Ruorfeng came back from the dining room, she was in a bad mood. Seeing her absent-minded expression, Yin Beige waved his hand and sent the servants away. Ruorfeng. Achem. Yarrow Ruorfeng slowly snapped out of her trance hearing Yin Beige's voice. Beige, what is it? Ruorfeng, I have something to ask you. It's about sister-in-law. Yin Beige stared at Yarrow Ruorfeng's face, his gaze sharp. Tell me, how did sister-in-law die? Ah. Yarrow Ruorfeng widened her eyes in shock seeing that Yin Beige actually thought of Su Wan. Then she forced herself to reply calmly, sister-in-law, naturally died of illness. Who in Liao City doesn't know about this? Heh. Yin Beige sneered hearing Yarrow Ruorfeng's words. Since the entire Liao City knows, why did you guys hide it from me? Also, why were you so afraid when you first saw third aunt? Yarrow Ruorfeng, what are you afraid of? As he spoke, Yin Beige forced Yarrow Ruorfeng into a corner step by step. Looking at the man's cold eyes without a trace of warmth, she was once infatuated with this pair of eyes. This pair of eyes also made her feel despair again and again. Hair. Yarrow Ruorfeng suddenly sneered. She suddenly didn't feel that afraid anymore. Yin Beige, what do you think I'm afraid of? What do I have to be afraid of? Why did mother want everyone to hide sister-in-law? Don't you know? Right, you lost your memory. Did you forget how you tried to violate your sister-in-law? In the end, you accidentally killed your own brother. What did you say? Yin Beige's expression suddenly changed. He grabbed Yarrow Ruorfeng's clothes tightly. You're lying. I didn't. Yarrow Ruorfeng stared at Yin Beige's face. Yin Beige, did you really forget? You did it on purpose. You purposely wanted to forget, right? Do you think you can pretend that nothing happened just because you forgot? Elder brother and sister-in-law are already dead. They're a match made in heaven. You will never get them. You won't get them nor will you get their heart. Seeing Yin Beige's twisted face due to the pain, Yarrow Ruorfeng suddenly felt a trace of pleasure. Why am I the only one in pain? So what if I can't get your heart? At least, I'm the wife you officially married and shared the same bed with. As for you, Yin Beige, you'll never be able to get that dead woman. Chapter 343. Ever since they fought in the room that day, Yin Beige moved to the side room and didn't sleep with Yarrow Ruorfeng anymore. The two fell into a cold war and the situation didn't improve after a month. This made Yarrow Baiqian anxious. Ever since Yin Beiyu died, Yarrow Baiqian only had Yin Beige as her son. She was hoping that Yin Beige and Yarrow Ruorfeng could give her a grandson soon. Yin Beige, who hadn't completely recovered his memory, treated his mother coldly because of Su Wan's death. Seeing that she couldn't persuade him, Yarrow Baiqian could only go to the biggest temple in Liao City to pray to the gods and Buddha. She hoped that the Bodhisattva could bless her son and daughter-in-law. Prajna Temple was the biggest temple outside of Liao City. The child-giving Guanyin inside was the most effective Bodhisattva in Liao City. When Yarrow Baiqian brought Zhenlan to the temple, there were a lot of people inside. Madam, look. Isn't that third madam? Zhenlan immediately saw Shunning and Su Wan at the temple entrance. Yarrow Baiqian looked up and saw the familiar figure. She couldn't help but be dazed for a moment. They really looked too alike. It was as if time had flowed backwards. Sister-in-law? Su Wan also saw Yarrow Baiqian at this time. She immediately smiled and walked to Yarrow Baiqian's side, smiling faintly and greeting her. The sister-in-law immediately pulled Yarrow Baiqian back to reality. Linglong, you're here to worship the Bodhisattva too? Hearing Yarrow Baiqian's words, Su Wan's expression darkened. Linglong has been weak since she was young. Her stomach hasn't moved even after so long. I'm worried. Yarrow Baiqian couldn't help but laugh hearing Su Wan's words. How long have you and Mingya been married for? Why are you worried? Fengruo and Beige have been married for almost 2 years. Her stomach hasn't moved either. Yarrow Baiqian was puzzled. Even if the two didn't have a good relationship, they still had a normal married life. Why couldn't Fengruo get pregnant? Hearing Yarrow Baiqian's words, Su Wan's gaze flickered. She couldn't help but whisper in Yarrow Baiqian's ears, "Sister-in-law, do you know of physician Fang in Liao City? She's a female physician who specializes in treating women." "Ahem, I don't mean anything else. If Fang Ruo can't get pregnant, you can take her for a checkup. There are many women who can't give birth now. If there's really something wrong, you can persuade Beige to take a concubine." Yarrow Baiqian's expression changed slightly. Can't give birth? She had never considered this problem. She only had Beige as her only son now. If Yarrow Ruofang really couldn't give birth, who would carry on the family line? There are 3 ways to be unfilial, and having no descendants is the worst. Not having any children was the greatest sin of all. Some things didn't need to be too detailed or exaggerated. Su Wan believed that as long as she planted this seed in Yarrow Baiqian's heart, she wouldn't be able to eat and sleep in peace. She would go find Dr. Fang. After all, she was the best female doctor in the entire Liao City. "Yarrow Baiqian, the game starts now. Let's settle the score slowly." Returning to Linglong Lu from Wisdom Temple, Su Wan hadn't even gotten off the car when the shopkeeper quickly walked over. "Lady boss, the young marshal is here. He's upstairs." "Oh." Su Wan nodded and then let Shunning help her up to the 4th floor of Linglong Lu. This was the highest point of Linglong Lu. Right now, Yin Beige was wearing a vest and black military boots. He was leaning against the window with a wine flask in his hand. Hearing the footsteps, he indifferently turned his head. Seeing Su Wan's face, Yin Beige's gaze wavered and the wine flask in his hand almost fell to the ground. "Beige, why are you here? Hurry and sit." Su Wan pulled over a chair and smiled at the man in front of the window. "Third aunt, there's a lot of good wine and delicacies here. Do you want to try?" "No, it's okay." Yin Beige quickly shifted his gaze. "I'm just passing by. I'm just taking a look." "Oh, I see." Su Wan looked at Yin Beige and then smiled faintly. "At the end of this month, there's a performance in Linglong Lu Beige. If you have time, come and support Third Aunt." "How about that?" At the end of the month, Yin Beige froze. His injuries had pretty much healed by the end of the month. He had been really free lately. "Okay, I understand. I'll come. Third Aunt, I'll be leaving first." As he spoke, Yin Beige narrowed his eyes and quickly strode away. In reality, he just happened to pass by here today. In the end, he couldn't help but walk in. Su Wan, that name. That shadow. Recently, Yin Beige would often dream. In his dreams, there were some fragmented memories. He gradually recalled Su Wan's face and the ballad she loved to sing. He recalled that winter and the charming smile of the red-clothed girl in the snow, Shui Linglong. She really looked like Su Wan. Not just her appearance. Yin Beige felt that she had a familiar aura, but Su Wan died. Everyone said that she died. Yin Beige seemed to have dreamt of the scene where she died in his arms. Therefore, maybe it was just his misconception. Just like what Yarrow Ruofeng said, he had lost her in this lifetime. He would never have the chance to have her or make it up to her. After Yin Beige left, Su Wan immediately ordered Shunning to call Hua Yaolan to her room. The end of the month was the best time. The time was right. Yin family's courtyard. Ever since Yarrow Baiqian came back from the monastery, she had been troubled. That day, she had drawn the worst lot. This made Yarrow Baiqian a bit flustered. Su Wan's words unknowingly echoed in her mind. Could there really be something wrong with Yarrow Ruofeng's body? Once she had this thought, this suspicion took root in Yarrow Baiqian's mind. She thought about it for a few days before finally finding an excuse to bring Yarrow Ruofeng to Dr. Fang for a complete checkup. The results almost made Yarrow Baiqian faint. Yarrow Ruofeng really couldn't give birth. This, looking at the complicated report, Yarrow Ruofeng's face paled. She looked at the female doctor in disbelief. "Dr. Fang, what do you mean? I really can't give birth?" "Yes." Dr. Fang's words were resolute. "My checkup is the most authoritative in the entire Liao City. Of course, it's not that you can't give birth. I can prescribe medicine for you to nurse your body, but I can't guarantee when your body will completely recover. Maybe a year, Maybe a few years. Or maybe, you won't be able to nurse your body for a lifetime. A lifetime? Yarrow Ruorfeng's eyes rolled and she immediately fainted in Yushio's arms. Second young mistress. The maids went over to help Yushio support Yarrow Ruorfeng while Yarrow Baiqian placed the consultation fee on Dr. Fang's desk. Doctor, prescribe the medicine. I want the best medicinal ingredients. Yarrow Ruorfeng was Yarrow Baiqian's niece. Naturally, she wouldn't give up on her so easily. But for the sake of Yin family's children, maybe she should consider getting Beige a concubine. But this child's temper was getting worse and worse. Would he agree so easily? Chapter 344. In the blink of an eye, it was the end of the month. It was time for Linglong Lu to perform at the end of the month. This was the busiest time of the month in Linglong Lu. The moment they opened the door in the morning, many regulars rushed in. Yin Beige naturally remembered the date Su Wan told him about. But when he walked to the street, he hesitated. Recently, Yarrow Baiqian had been trying to get him a concubine. To be honest, Yin Beige was really against this. Plus, because he hadn't recovered his memories yet, he didn't have the mother-son relationship with Yarrow Baiqian. Therefore, he had been in a bad mood these past few days. Seeing the bustling entrance of Linglong Lu, Yin Beige paused. Xue Linglong's face flashed through his mind. That face was too familiar. Just thinking about it made his heart ache. Su Wan. Just what did we go through in the past? How did you die? Why can't I remember some things? Just as Yin Beiji's body stopped and his thoughts ran wild, a familiar melody suddenly floated out of Linglong Tower. The wind blew and the clouds swayed. The waves on the ocean swayed with the wind. Father was fishing and hadn't returned home yet. Mother missed him by the shore. The ethereal voice was like the sound of nature, as if it came from the distant past. It crossed time and space and once again floated by Yin Beiji's ears. This is. His expression changed drastically, and he rushed in the direction of the voice like the wind. On the stage on the first floor of Linglong Lu, Hua Yarolan wore a red dress and swayed her body. Her black hair scattered on her shoulders and fluttered along with her movements. Father was busy fishing and mother was thinking. Sister swayed and swayed, huff, huff. When Yin Beige arrived at Linglong Lu's hall, Hua Yaolan's singing had just come to an end. Okay. The hall was filled with cheers and whistles. The red-dressed Hua Yarolan smiled gently at everyone. Her gaze swept over the crowd and when her gaze landed on Yin Beige, she seemed to freeze for a moment before politely nodding at him. Yin Beige also froze. For a moment, he thought he saw Su Wan again. Her voice was really similar, her smile was really similar. Even her red dress was really similar to what she wore the day they met. Boss Xue, name your price. Miss Yaolan, I'll take her. At this time, a low male voice suddenly came from the crowd. The person who spoke was also a big shot in Liao City. He was rich and overbearing, and his back was straight. Hair. Hearing the nouveau riche's voice, Su Wan and Su Rui, who were sitting on the second floor, looked at each other and smiled. Boss Huang, our Linglong Tower is a proper place of entertainment. We don't sell our bodies. Oh. The wealthy boss Huang waved his hand in disdain. 10,000. 10,000. Although the guests who came today were all rich people, there were very few who were as extravagant as him, who could spend 10,000 yuan in one go. Boss Huang, do you think my Yin family lacks that 10,000 yuan? Su Rui sneered at Boss Huang. I heard that you've just taken in your 8th concubine. I'll give you 30,000 yuan. Are you willing to sell your concubine to me? Boss Huang sneered. Boss Huang's expression turned cold. Third Master Yin, although Liao City belongs to the Yin family, it's General Yin's. I'm advising you to keep a low profile. Don't cause any trouble for the general. I'll give you 20,000 yuan. 20,000 yuan. Su Rui didn't say anything. He just narrowed his eyes and looked at Boss Huang downstairs. He was a big fish. Su Wan and he spent a lot of effort to get him to take the bait. Now, it all depended on Yin Beige. 30,000 yuan. At this time, a cold male voice rang out. Under everyone's astonished gazes, Yin Beige walked to the front of the stage step by step. Young General. Which citizen of Liao City didn't recognize the young general? Seeing that the young general had come out, everyone kept quiet. Boss Huang also stared at Yin Beige with an unfriendly expression. Young general, are you going to fight to the death with me? Although Huang Chen was just a businessman, his sister married into the governor's residence and was the governor's third wife. In terms of background, Huang Chen really wasn't afraid of the Yin family. Fight to the death. Yin Beige sneered in disdain hearing Huang Chen's words. Having lost his memory, he didn't know who Huang Chen was. He just subconsciously wanted to protect the woman behind him. She belongs to this young marshal. Whoever dares to touch her, I'll shoot him to death. Saying this, Yin Beige took out his gun without hesitation and pointed it at Huang Chen's chest. Ah! Oh my god! Young General is so cool. The hall on the first floor was filled with whispers. Su Wan couldn't help but glance at Su Rui. Hey, third master, look at our young general. He's so handsome. He's going to steal your limelight. Su Rui was speechless. Who didn't know how to show off their love? General Su just didn't have the chance for now. Seeing Yin Beige take out his gun without hesitation, Huang Chen's expression changed. In the end, he couldn't help but laugh lowly. Young General is really young and vigorous. I was just joking with you. Why do you have to take it so seriously? Who doesn't know that your family's third madam opened Linglong Lu? Everyone here belongs to you, young general. Seeing Huang Chen's expression change so quickly, Yin Beige put away his gun and then turned to look at Hua Yarolan in concern. Miss, are you okay? Hua Yarolan bowed at Yin Beige. Yarolan is fine. Thank you, young general. In just a morning, the news of young general saving the beauty in Linglong Lu immediately spread to Yin family's residence. Yarrow Baiqian froze when she found out that her son actually liked someone from Linglong Lu. Thankfully, Linglong Lu had a good reputation in Liao City. It wasn't impossible to bring the singer into the residence as a concubine. But she didn't know what that woman's character was like. Yarrow Baiqian hesitated before ordering Zhenlan to send a message to Su Rui, telling them to go back to the residence for dinner. Su Wan and Su Rui naturally knew what Yarrow Baiqian was thinking. The two had prepared everything and guaranteed that Yarrow Baiqian would be satisfied. Night, Yin family's courtyard. After dinner, Yarrow Baiqian called Su Wan to her courtyard alone. As expected, she was going to ask about Hua Yarolan. Su Wan was prepared. She immediately told Yarrow Baiqian about Hua Yarolan. Hearing that her family background was clean and she was proficient in the 4 arts, Yarrow Baiqian was satisfied. Linglong, look at Beige, sister-in-law, I understand what you mean. Our Yarolan also admires young general. As long as you agree, we can hold a wedding for them anytime. Hearing Su Wan's words, Yarrow Baiqian smiled happily. Okay. I'll get someone to prepare it right now. This might be the most harmonious time Su Wan and Yarrow Baiqian had interacted with each other, but this was the only time. Coming out of Yarrow Baiqian's courtyard, Su Wan looked at the empty courtyard entrance and her expression changed. Where's Su Rui? If there was nothing special, he wouldn't leave unless, Su Wan. Right at this time, in the pitch-black night, a familiar figure slowly walked towards Su Wan. Step by step, he brought with him a stifling feeling of oppression. Chapter 345. Su Wan. Yin Beige called Su Wan's name again. Right now, he was in front of Su Wan. His sharp and handsome face carried a complicated expression that had never been seen before. Beige. Su Wan calmly looked at the man in front of her and furrowed her brows suspiciously. Are you calling me? What's wrong? You didn't. Before Su Wan could finish, Yin Beige forced her into a corner. He grabbed her right wrist and then pulled up her sleeves without hesitation. There was an old scar on Su Wan's fair arm. It was really small, but it couldn't escape Yin Beige's sharp and serious gaze. Hair. Yin Beige suddenly stared at the scar and laughed. As he laughed, tears fell from the corners of his eyes. Xiao Wan, It's great that you're still alive. Saying this, Yin Beige subconsciously let go of Su Wan's wrist. He lifted his arms, wanting to hug her just like how he had dreamt of countless nights. Hugging her tightly, telling her that he loved her and that he couldn't live without her. A gust of cold wind blew past and Yin Beige's eyes blurred. The next moment, he saw Yin Mingya's figure. Beige, what do you want to do? Su Rui half-hugged Su Wan and lifted his brows, looking coldly at Yin Beige. Third uncle. Yin Beige was a bit surprised seeing that Su Rui came back so quickly. But his gaze quickly darkened. Third uncle, you did it. You saved Xiao Wan, right? Heh, I don't know what you're talking about. Su Rui tightened his grip on Su Wan's arm and declared his authority to Yin Beige. This is my wife, Shui Linglong. Su Wan is already dead. Although Linglong looks like her, but, don't lie to me. Yin Beige immediately lost control and interrupted Su Rui. The wound on her hand was left behind when she was studying abroad in Great Britain to save me. I'll never forget that scar. Plus, Yin Beige's tone sank. I just came back from Yin family's graveyard. Su Wan's coffin didn't have a corpse at all. There were only clothes and stones. Su Rui sneered. So what? So what if you have 1,000, 10,000 reasons to prove that she is Su Wan? I have a marriage certificate. We bowed to heaven and earth and entered the bridal room. She's my official wife. Yin Beige, don't tell me you're going to steal your third aunt. Yin Beige was silent. His gaze focused on Su Wan's face again. Xiao Wan, tell me why. Why did you fake your death? Why did she have to marry third uncle? Why don't you acknowledge me? Young Marshal, I understand what you're saying, but I really don't know what you mean when you put them together. Su Wan looked at Yin Beige indifferently. Then she held her forehead with a pale face. Mingya, I feel dizzy. Let's go home. While talking, Su Wan had already leaned into Su Rui's embrace. All right, wife, let's go home. Su Rui gently caressed Su Wan's hair and glanced at Yin Beige. We're going back. Beige, I won't argue with you about this. I hope that you can always remember that this woman is my woman. She's your elder. Saying this, Su Rui turned around and left with Su Wan in his arms. Seeing the two gradually getting further away, Yin Beige clenched his fists and punched the brick wall by the side, leaving streaks of blood on the wall. Young Marshal, you, at this time, a figure anxiously dodged. Seeing the back of Yin Beige's bleeding hand, the owner of the figure immediately became anxious. Young Marshal, don't move. This servant will find gauze to bandage your wound right now. Heh, you've seen enough. Heard enough. You're willing to come out now? Yin Beige looked at Zhenlan, who suddenly appeared and glared at her. Shouldn't you go back and report to my mother? This servant, before Zhenlan could react, Yin Beige grabbed her by the neck. Her thin and weak body was slowly lifted up against the wall. Zhenlan had difficulty breathing and her face was starting to turn purple. Tell me. How much do you know? What's going on with Su Wan's illness? I don't know, Zhenlan struggled to answer, her tone stuttering. She didn't dare to say it. She couldn't say it. Because if she didn't say it, she still had a chance to live. If she said it, the First Madam could kill her at any time. Seeing that Zhenlan wasn't willing to let go, Yin Beige couldn't help but tighten his grip. Are you going to tell me or not? Zhenlan, whose consciousness was starting to fade, shook her head instinctively. She was gambling. Gambling that Yin Beige was more humane than Yarrow Baiqian. Bang! Zhenlan's body was thrown to the ground. She gasped for air. She had just survived a disaster, and her back was covered in sweat at this moment. Don't tell anyone about what happened tonight or else I won't forgive you. Saying this, Yin Beige coldly turned to leave. Zhenlan subconsciously rubbed her neck as she watched him leave. The general recovered his memory. Shui Linglong was Su Wan? How could she still be alive? Just what did the third master know? Many questions flashed through Zhenlan's mind. Sister Zhenlan, Madam is calling you. At this time, a call came from the courtyard. Junlan immediately stood up and patted the dust off her body while pulling her collar. She wanted to cover the strangulation marks on her neck. Even if Yin Beige didn't warn her, she wouldn't say a word about what happened tonight. Yin Beige had indeed recovered his memory. When he was in Linglong Floor, Hua Yarolan reminded him of his first encounter with Su Wan. After he left Linglong Floor, he unknowingly went to Yin family's cemetery. Yin Beige sat in front of Su Wan and Yin Beiyue's graves for a long time. I still have one last wish. After I'm gone, bury me beside Beiyu, let me accompany him, this is. I owe him this. In the cemetery, Yin Beige suddenly recalled Su Wan's last wish. Also, the brocade pouch. That brocade pouch. Yin Beige recalled the brocade pouch sewn into his clothes. When he was wandering outside, he changed all of his clothes. At that time, he had forgotten everything, but he instinctively felt that the brocade pouch was important, so he kept it on him. He took out the brocade pouch and opened it. There were some fragrances inside. Perhaps it had been soaked in seawater, but it didn't have the original smell anymore. Between the fragrances, there was a small lock of black hair wrapped around by a thin red string. This was Su Wan's hair. Tied the knot with her, never to be separated. In that instant, Yin Beige suddenly remembered everything. All of his memories surged into his mind. The two of them knew each other. It was a freak combination of factors. His misunderstanding, elder brother's death, Su Wan's illness, everything flashed through Yin Beige's mind like a movie. In the end, Xuelinglong's face froze in front of him. Su Wan. Yin Beige thought that he understood and was familiar with Su Wan enough, so he definitely wouldn't mistake her aura. If Xuelinglong was Su Wan, then who was buried in the cemetery? Thinking of this, Yin Beige's gaze turned serious. He felt like he was going crazy, but at that moment, he really didn't want to think about anything. He urgently wanted to prove that Su Wan was still alive. She was definitely still alive. Therefore, Yin Beige dug Su Wan's grave. This might have been the craziest thing he had ever done in his life. But the moment he opened the coffin and saw the stone inside, Yin Beige didn't care that he was covered in mud and laughed loudly. Chapter 346. On the way back to the courtyard, Su Rui had Su Wan lie comfortably on his knees. He stared at the night outside the carriage. "What are you thinking about?" Su Wan suddenly asked in a low voice. Su Rui lowered his eyes and looked at her gently. "Wife, you said that Yin Beige recovered his memory in advance. Will he still marry Hua Yarolan?" Everything was ready now. They were just waiting for something. "He will." Su Wan answered softly. The more he knew the truth, the more Yin Beige would take the initiative to attack. He would definitely marry Hua Yarolan because he was the male lead. You couldn't use a normal person's way of thinking to guess the male lead and female lead's thoughts. If you got serious with them, you'd lose. Just as Su Wan predicted, a few days later, Yarrow Baiqian sent someone to Linglong Lu to propose marriage. The news of the young general marrying Hua Yarolan immediately spread throughout the streets and alleys of Liao City. The young general marrying a concubine was a joyous event in the entire Liao City. Today, the entire Yin family was in a joyous mood. In this huge residence, only Yarrow Ruofeng was unhappy about this. Her and Yin Beige's relationship was already bad. Now that the doctor said that she couldn't give birth, even her aunt wanted to take a concubine for Yin Beige. Thinking that she, the eldest miss of the Yarrow family, would have to share a husband with a singer from a dance house, Yarrow Ruofeng clenched her teeth in anger. Dr. Fang said that she couldn't give birth, so she really couldn't. Yarrow Ruofeng had secretly asked the Yarrow family to go to the capital to find the best doctor for her. Yin family's joyous occasion invited the entire city to a banquet. Su Wan and Su Rui naturally arrived early in the morning. After the banquet started, Su Rui and his two brothers greeted the other upper-class nobles in Liao City. Yin Beige wore a tang suit and held a cup of wine. Who knew when he arrived next to Su Wan? "Third aunt, thank you for carefully choosing a concubine for me. Let me toast you." Yin Beige didn't wait for Su Wan to speak and drank all of the wine in his cup. Then he poured himself another cup and looked at Su Wen in a daze. I know your body isn't good. Let me toast you. Don't drink it. I'll drink it for you. Saying this, Yin Beige drained the cup of wine. After finishing the second glass, he stubbornly wanted to pour a third. You're drunk. Su Wen slowly got up and stopped him. Beige, you're drunk. Stop drinking. Are you concerned about me? Yin Beige looked up and stared at Su Wen stubbornly. Su Wen smiled indifferently. Of course I'm concerned about you. I'm your third aunt, aren't I? I care about you just like I care about Bei Yi and Bei Yang. Saying this, Su Wen looked at Yin Bei, who had been paying attention to them. Bei, your second brother is drunk. Come over and watch him. Yes, third aunt. Hearing Su Wan's words, Yin Bei quickly walked over and supported Yin Beige. He whispered in his ears, second brother, there are many guests here today. Don't mess around. Many people are waiting for you to toast them. Toast? Isn't it just a happy wedding and a happy marriage? Heh. Yin Beige smiled in disdain and poured himself another cup of wine. Let's go. Come with me to greet the guest. The banquet continued until midnight. When the music ended and people dispersed, the groom was already unconscious. Yarrow Baiqian thought that her son was too happy, so she immediately sent someone to support Yin Beige back to the bridal room. Although Hua Yaolan was born in a lowly family, she had learned all sorts of etiquette in Su Wan's Linglong Lu. After entering the Yin family, she was able to gain Yarrow Baiqian's favor. This made Yarrow Ruorfeng jealous. What hurt her the most was that 2 months after Hua Yaolan entered the family, she was diagnosed as pregnant. All of a sudden, Madame Hua's status in the Yin family rose. Yin Beige was surprised by Hua Yaolan's pregnancy. Other than the night of their wedding when he was too drunk and had sex with Hua Yaolan, he hadn't touched her in the 2 months since they got married. However, she had her own child after all. Yin Beige was looking forward to his first unborn child as well. Yin family, backyard. Crackle. Yarrow Ruorfeng Ruo smashed all the teacups on her table onto the floor. Her pretty face was filled with hatred. Why? Why could Hua Yaolan get pregnant with Yin Beige's child but she couldn't? Even the doctor from the capital couldn't tell what was wrong with her. He just kept telling her to take medicine, and more medicine. Yarrow Ruorfeng felt like she was about to become a medicine jar. Even the best perfume couldn't cover the thick smell of medicine on her. Young madam, don't worry. What if you hurt your body? Seeing that Yarrow Ruorfeng was losing her mind, Yu Xiu couldn't help but persuade, that madam is just pregnant. We don't even know if it's a boy or a girl. Plus, it's hard to say if she can give birth. Young madam, don't panic. Achem. Hearing Yu Xiu's words, Yarrow Ruorfeng froze. Then her eyes flashed. Right, she couldn't let her give birth. Otherwise, her position in the Yin family would be in danger. Aunt, don't blame me for being ruthless. Back then, you also used many methods to deal with uncle's concubines. I'm just imitating and learning from you. While Yarrow Ruorfeng was planning to create an accident for Hua Yaolan, in the backyard, Yarrow Baiqian was holding a teacup with a calm expression. Behind her, Junlan had her head lowered and was respectfully waiting for Yarrow Baiqian's orders. Junlan. This servant is here. Send people to keep a close eye on second madam and Yu Xiu. Nothing can happen to Beige's child. Do you understand? This servant understands. This servant knows what to do. Junlan nodded hard while Yarrow Baiqian slowly put down the teacup with narrowed eyes. If she had watched Yarrow Fang grow up, she would have known what she was going to do the moment she raised her brows. Perhaps, she had really spoiled her too much in the past. Yarrow Fang seemed to have forgotten that this wasn't the Yarrow family, but the Yin family. In the Yin family, nothing was allowed to escape her, Yarrow Baiqian's, control. While Yarrow Baiqian and Yarrow Ruorfeng were on guard against each other, Su Wen and Su Rui were busy with other things. Counting the days, the real female lead, Guang Li, should be arriving at Liao City soon. Su Wan had arranged for Hua Yaolan to stay in the Yin residence. Su Wan didn't have any thoughts about Guang Li. She just didn't want the female lead to enter the Yin family again and ruin her plan. Therefore, Su Wan and Su Rui discussed it and sent people to guard near the city gates. If they found Guangli, they would think of a way to bring her to Third Master Yin's courtyard. By then, they would naturally have a way to make her obedient and stay there. But things didn't go smoothly because Su Rui's people didn't see Guangli outside or at the city gates. According to the original plot, the female lead should have reached Liao City by now. Then, where did Guangli go? In reality, Guangli had indeed reached Liao City by now. In the original plot, Guangli walked and stopped along the way, finally arriving at Liao City at the end of October. But this time, she arrived at Liao City at the beginning of August. Chapter 347. Early in the morning, it was misty. Guangli came out of her small room and stretched her arms in the yard. A new day had begun. It had been 2 months since she entered Liao City. Right now, she was working in a tavern and hadn't found a chance to sneak into the Yin family. Xiaoli. At this time, the door to another room in the courtyard was pushed open, and a round-faced girl quickly walked out. Seeing Guangli in the courtyard, the girl mysteriously pulled her to her side. "Little Li, haven't you always wanted to work for the Yin family?" "Yeah." Guangli's gaze brightened. "Sister Yeye, you have a way." Lin Yeye smiled faintly when she saw Guangli's bright eyes. "I have a cousin who is a head maid in the Yin family. Her master recently wanted to hire a maid who can cook to help out in the courtyard. You were the first one I thought of, right? If I knew how to cook, I would have gone myself. Unfortunately, I don't have the talent." Guangli was overjoyed hearing Lin Ye's words. This was great. After waiting for 2 months, she finally had this chance. She was going to the Yin family. She was going to see that man and ask him why he killed the villagers in the fishing village so cruelly. A month later, Su Wan didn't expect to see Guangli in the Yin family's courtyard under such a complicated situation. Right now, Hua Yarolan was lying on her bed with a pale face. Yarrow Baiqian sat by her bed with a concerned expression. This morning, Hua Yarolan drank a bowl of soup like usual and planned on resting. Who knew that not long after, she would feel unbearable pain in her stomach. By the time the doctor arrived, she couldn't keep the child in her stomach. Not only did this infuriate Yarrow Baiqian, but it also alerted the commander-in-chief in the commander-in-chief's residence. Yin Shun had already given the order to investigate this thoroughly and get rid of the black sheep in the Yin family's backyard. After a preliminary investigation, the first suspect was a maid who had just arrived in the Yin family. Guangli Su Wan rushed over after hearing the news and comforted Hua Yarolan. Then she glanced at the pale-faced Guangli kneeling on the ground. Then she looked at Yarrow Baiqian and asked, "Sister-in-law, what's going on?" "Sigh." Yarrow Baiqian sighed. The doctor said that someone drugged Yarolan's soup and the new girl made it herself. "Really?" Su Wan froze and looked at Guangli on the ground. "This girl doesn't look familiar. She's new, right?" "Yes." Hearing Su Wan's question, Zhenlan immediately replied respectfully, "Third Madam, this is the servant girl that this servant recruited to serve Madam Hua's meals. This servant saw that she had a clean background and was honest, so this servant recruited her with ease. I didn't think that something like this would happen in just a month. A new servant girl has the guts to poison her master. Isn't she a little too daring? Who gave her the courage to do that?" Before the person arrived, his voice arrived first. Bu Ningxian walked over wearing a gorgeous dress. While walking, she smiled at Su Wan and Yarrow Baiqian. Sister-in-law, I don't think it's that simple." As she spoke, Bu Ningxian came to Guangli's side and kicked her with her high heels. Guangli fell to the ground from Bu Ningxian's kick. She furrowed her brows and looked angrily at the woman in front of her. As expected, no one in the Yin family was good. "Oh, you have quite a personality." Seeing the resentment in Guangli's eyes, Bu Ningxian lifted her brows. "Tell me, who ordered you to do this? If you don't tell the truth, you'll suffer." "No one ordered me to do this. I was framed. I didn't poison her." Guangli climbed up from the ground and looked stubbornly at Yarrow Baiqian. This servant is just a new servant girl. I don't have any grudges with Madame Hua. Why would I harm her? The Yin family's courtyard is so big. The person who wants to harm her is probably someone else. Presumptuous. Yarrow Baiqian's gaze turned cold hearing Guangli's words. There's irrefutable evidence and you still won't admit it. You're trying to mislead us. Zhenlan, slap her face. Yes. Zhenlan quickly walked over to Guangli and ordered the two maids to press down Guangli's hands and stabilize her body. Then she started slapping her without hesitation. Slap slap slap. Su Wan felt pain hearing the sounds. Zhenlan wasn't someone to be trifled with. She was ruthless. Not long later, both sides of Guangli's face were swollen and the corners of her lips were bloodstained. She wanted to say something but couldn't. Seeing Zhenlan's actions, Bu Ningxian smiled in disdain and then casually found a place to sit down. Yarrow Baiqian was planning on forcing a confession out of her. She didn't even give this girl a chance to defend herself. She was in such a hurry to find a scapegoat. The truth was clear. HMPH. Who doesn't know about Yin family's matters? Yarrow Ruofeng was really smart. She actually thought of using a new maid. This time, Yarrow Baiqian did make a mistake. She thought that it would be foolproof if Zhenlan found some new maids to take care of Hua Yarrowlan. She didn't expect to fall into Yarrow Ruofeng's trap. Now that something like this happened, Yarrow Baiqian had to take care of Yin family's face and Yarrow family's face. Actually, she hated them a long time ago, right? However, he still had to protect Yarrow Ruofeng, that useless thing, in front of everyone. Thinking of this, Bu Ningxian's mood was strangely happy. HMPH. So what if Yin Beiji's child is gone? She couldn't wait for her boss's bloodline to end. At this moment, Guangli was struggling on the ground. She wanted to say something, but she could no longer speak. Just at this time, there was a sudden rush of footsteps. Yin Beige in military uniform strode in. Mother, how's Yarrowlan? Yin Beige asked about Hua Yaolan's health the moment he entered. Chapter 348. You did it. Yin Beige walked in front of Guangli step by step. He bent down and lifted her chin with his large hand. Sniff. Guangli opened her mouth but she could only make muffled sounds. Zhenlan had a good grasp of technique and strength. It wasn't too light nor too heavy but it was just enough to make her unable to defend herself. Guangli could only stare at Yin Beiji's face that was inches away from her. She stared at the man's thick brows and deep eyes. She blinked her eyes, and her big, clear eyes were already misty. Yin Beige, you really don't recognize me anymore? There was a moment of absent-mindedness. Yin Beige looked into the eyes of the person in front of him and felt like time and space were in a mess. So familiar. Beige. Yarrow Baiqian slowly stood up and said coldly, who knows if this girl is a spy sent by another army? It's better to deal with her as soon as possible. What the eye doesn't see, the heart doesn't grieve over. Spy. Yin Beiji's gaze turned solemn. Recently, the northeast had been at war and the capital wasn't peaceful either. Who knew when Liao City would be affected by the flames of war? At the thought of this, his heart sank. Yin Beige let go of his hand and slowly straightened himself. He looked at Guangli without any warmth in his gaze. Drag her away. Mess. Before Yin Beige could finish, Hua Yaolan's scream rang behind him. Linglong. At this time, Bu Ningxian, who was watching from the side, also hurriedly stood up. She looked behind Yin Beige and called out anxiously. Linglong. Yin Beige suddenly turned around to see Su Wan lying on the chair with a pale face. Little, third aunt. Xiao Wan. Thankfully, Yin Beige hadn't completely lost his composure. He hurried over and hugged Su Wan. I'll take third aunt to see a doctor. Beige. Yarrow Baiqian wanted to stop her son but Yin Beige had already left in a hurry, leaving everyone to see his slender back. Watching him leave, Yarrow Baiqian's gaze changed slightly while Bu Ningxian revealed a playful smile. Yes, she almost forgot that Linglong's face was really similar to the one who died in the side courtyard. Yin Beige carried Su Wan and hurriedly walked out of the Yin family's courtyard. The moment he reached the door, he paused. Su Rui smiled and stood at the door. Behind him, Shunning had already lifted the curtains. Beige, just leave Linglong to me. Thank you for your hard work. Before Yin Beige could react, Su Rui tyrannically snatched Su Wan from his arms. 3. Yin Beige opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but Su Rui waved at him. I'll send her to the car first. We'll talk later. Saying this, Su Rui carefully carried Su Wan onto the carriage. Then he instructed Shunning in a low voice before getting off the carriage at ease. He ordered the carriage driver to drive the carriage back to the side courtyard. Seeing the familiar carriage leave, Su Rui turned back to look at Yin Beige. I have something to tell you. What? Yin Beige looked at Su Rui in surprise. Ever since Su Wan's identity was revealed, the two men hadn't been on good terms. This time, Su Rui taking the initiative to talk to him was out of Yin Beige's expectations. Give Guang Li to me and I'll tell you a secret. Guang Li? Yin Beige's expression changed. How did third uncle know Guang Li? In Yin Beige's memory, he only knew Guang Li. She was the fisherman's daughter who saved his life in the fishing village. Seeing Yin Beige's strange reaction, Su Rui's gaze changed. Did you forget who Guang Li is? She's my savior. Third uncle, do you know her? Yin Beige looked at Su Rui, the suspicion still in his eyes. Heh. Who in the Yin family doesn't know her? Su Rui looked at Yin Beige teasingly. Don't tell me you don't know who she is. Yin Beige's expression changed. Could it be that? That's right. That scapegoat. Su Rui walked towards Yin Beige. Haven't you always wanted to know about Su Wan? Give me Guang Li and I'll tell you everything. Yin Beige hesitated. Third uncle, why must you want Guang Li? You have a family now. If you dare to do anything to her, I won't let you off. Even if you're my uncle, I won't show mercy. Heh. Su Rui couldn't help but laugh mockingly. From the beginning to the end, you're the only one who hurt her. Su Rui's words made Yin Beige speechless. Feeling Su Rui's disdain and the coldness in his eyes, Yin Beige was silent for a while. In the end, he nodded softly. Okay. I'll have someone send Guang Li to your courtyard. Third uncle, what do you know? Tell me. I know a lot. Su Rui patted Yin Beige's shoulder. Su Wan died the same way Hua Yaolan's child disappeared. She's just using the same trick. As for that person, you should know who she is. Poisoned. Yin Beige clenched his fists tightly. Actually, he suspected that Yarrow Ruorfeng had something to do with Su Wan's death. But he hadn't found any evidence yet. After all, Su Wan's incident had happened too long ago. Dr. Sun was dead and there was no evidence. Yin Beige couldn't investigate what happened back then anymore. But Hua Yaolan's incident had just happened. If Yarrow Ruorfeng really did it, he should be able to find evidence. Thinking of this, Yin Beige's gaze turned complicated. He recalled what Su Wan had said to him in the past. She said that he had always been hurting her when he treated her well. At that time, Yin Beige couldn't understand the meaning behind Su Wan's words, but he understood everything now. Did Su Wan already know that Yarrow Ruorfeng was harming her? Did she already know that she was poisoned? But she didn't tell him and chose to believe his third uncle. Su Wan, do I, Yin Beige, really not have any credibility in your heart? Thinking of this, Yin Beige felt his heart ache. One wrong step after another was wrong. He couldn't turn back from his mistakes. That night, Guang Li was sent to Su Rui's courtyard by Lu Anbo, who was covered in injuries. Third Master, I've taken care of her wounds. Lu Anbo seemed to be really worried when he handed Guang Li over to Su Rui. He couldn't help but remind him. Seeing Deputy Commander Lu's anxious expression, Su Rui couldn't help but smile faintly. He almost forgot about this male supporting character who fell in love with the female lead at first sight. Right. Back then, Lu Anbo brought people to pick Yin Beige up from the fishing village. At that time, He had seen Guang Li in the fishing village and fell in love with this pure and kind fisherwoman at first sight. Deputy Commander Lu, if you're really worried, you're welcome to visit her anytime. Hearing Su Rui's words, Lu Anbo froze and then smiled awkwardly. Third Master, you must be joking. I've done what the young general told me to do. I'll be taking my leave first. Saying this, Lu Anbo turned and left on his horse. Watching the man and horse disappear into the night, Su Rui handed the unconscious Guang Li to the housekeeper. Arrange for her to stay in the guest room and find 2 maids to serve her first. Chapter 349. Although Guang Li had been executed, the Yin family's courtyard wasn't peaceful that night. In Yarrow Ruofeng's room, kneel. After Yarrow Baiqian ordered Junlan to close the door tightly, she immediately scolded with a sullen face. Yarrow Ruofeng and Yu Xiu's faces were pale. Hearing Yarrow Baiqian's words, Yu Xiu immediately knelt, trembling. Meanwhile, Yarrow Ruofeng looked pitifully at Yarrow Baiqian with reddened eyes. Mother, Aunt, Ruofeng. Ruofeng knows her wrongs. Seeing that Yarrow Ruofeng wasn't willing to kneel, Yarrow Baiqian raised her hand high and slapped Yarrow Ruofeng's face. Yarrow Ruofeng held her painful face and looked at Yarrow Baiqian in disbelief. Aunt, you hit me? What did I do wrong? You still don't know what you did wrong? Hearing Yarrow Ruofeng's words, Yarrow Baiqian's expression turned even colder. I can tolerate your anger and jealousy. I originally planned to let you manage Yin family's backyard, but what about you? What are you doing? You dared to harm Yin family's descendant. Yarrow Baiqian was speechless at Yarrow Ruofeng's stupidity. I learned this from you, Aunt. Hearing Yarrow Baiqian's accusation, Yarrow Ruofeng put down her hand and sneered. Didn't Aunt treat the Yinyangs in the residence like this back then? If you can do it, why can't I do it? Moreover, aren't you the best at poisoning, Aunt? Other than the concubines in the residence, there's also Su Wan. Su Wan, she. Bang. The tightly shut door was kicked open. In the dark night, Yin Beige's face was so dark that it seemed like it could drip water at any time. Yarrow Ruofeng, what did you just say? Say it again. Beige. Yarrow Ruofeng was dumbfounded seeing Yin Beige's sudden appearance. At this time, Yarrow Baiqian's gaze flickered and she slapped Yarrow Ruofeng again. Bastard. It's fine if you don't change, but you dare to talk nonsense. I'm talking nonsense. Yarrow Ruofeng's face was red and swollen. She narrowed her eyes and looked at Yarrow Baiqian. Aunt, no, I should call you mother. I should have understood from the day I married Yin family. You just didn't want Yin family to fall into someone else's hands. Therefore, you schemed for Beige to marry me. I thought you loved me back then. Yarrow Baiqian, you're so selfish. Shut up. Yarrow Baiqian glared at Yarrow Ruofeng when she saw that Yarrow Ruofeng dared to call her name directly. She raised her hand and was about to hit her, but Yarrow Ruofeng dodged it. Since Beige heard it, I might as well make it clear. Yarrow Ruofeng looked at Yin Beige with a strange expression. Beige, do you know? Back then, Aunt didn't plan on letting you marry Su Wan. Ever since she agreed to your marriage, she had been scheming against Su Wan. She purposely had Uncle transfer you away and then changed the bride on the day of the wedding, threatening the Su family. Even Brother Beiyu had been tricked and used by her. Later, Brother Beiyu died, but Aunt blamed everything on Su Wan. She wanted Su Wan to die with her son, so she put slow-acting poison in Su Wan's food. She even bribed all the doctors in the residence. Mother. Yin Beige's figure swayed a bit. He looked at Yarrow Baiqian in disbelief. Mother, is what Ruofeng said true? Thinking of how they missed each other, his brother's death, and the pain Su Wan suffered on the sickbed, Yin Beige's heart ached. Mother, how can you be so heartless? Brother and I are both your sons. Have you never thought about our happiness? Happiness? Yarrow Baiqian lifted her brows coldly. The truth proves that Su Wan is a fickle woman. Mother didn't want you to marry her for your own good. Mother did everything for you and the Yin family. No. Yin Beige gradually retreated, looking at Yarrow Baiqian like he was looking at a stranger. You didn't do it for us. You did it for yourself. One's own selfishness. Harming others, harming oneself. The next day, Yin family's courtyard. When Guangli woke up, she realized she was in a completely unfamiliar place. The decorations here were similar to Yin family's. You're awake. A gentle female voice rang in her ears. Guangli slowly sat up and saw Su Wen sitting at the square table nearby. Third madam. Though they'd only met once, Guangli had a deep impression of Su Wen because she gave her a really familiar feeling as if they'd known each other for many years. Su Wen smiled faintly. Don't call me that. If you like, you can call me Linglong. Linglong? Guangli looked at Su Wen strangely. You saved me. Why did you save me? Yesterday, Guangli thought she was dead for sure. An old friend asked me to save you. I'll slowly tell you in the future. Just stay here and recuperate. Su Wen was talking to Guangli when Shunning quickly walked in. Third madam, second madam is here. She's waiting for you in the front hall. Amen, I got it. Su Wen responded and slowly stood up. Guangli, rest first. I'll come see you later. Huh? Oh. Guangli dazedly watched Su Wen leave, her mind a bit confused. But third Madam Linglong seemed like a good person. So there were good people in the Yin family too. At this time, in the front hall, Bu Ningshan was leisurely drinking tea while Shunning helped Su Wen out. Seeing that Su Wan's complexion was a bit better, Bu Ningshan couldn't help but stand up. She walked over and grabbed Su Wan's wrist. Linglong, are you okay? I've been worried about you since I went back yesterday. So, I came to see you early this morning after I finished my work at home. I've brought a top-grade blood swallow. I'll ask the kitchen to cook it for you later. Thank you for your concern, second madam. Hearing Bu Ningshan's words, Su Wen immediately pretended to be touched and looked at her gratefully. We're family. Why are you being so polite? The world is so bad right now. We need to be united. Saying this, Bu Ningshan purposely sighed. Look at elder brother and sister-in-law. They live in the old residence and guard the general's residence. They also have hundreds of thousands of soldiers and horses under them. In this chaotic situation, they can only gain a foothold if they have military power. Look at our family. Sigh. Our Cheng Mo only knows how to earn money. All the money he earns is given to elder brother for the army's provisions. But even after spending a lot of money, he still doesn't have a single soldier under him. As for Mingyi, sigh. Bu Ningshan sighed a few times. Su Wan's expression kept changing. Second madam, you're right. Mingyi wanted to go to the army to train, but elder brother said he wasn't made for it. He gave him some money and told him to come back and manage Linglong House with me. Everyone says that a man's ambition is to travel far and wide. What future do you think he and I have by guarding a dance house? If the flames of war really spread to Liao City one day, what's the point of our little dance house earning so much money? Linglong, I knew you're smart. Bu Ningshan immediately held her hands tightly. Unfortunately, elder brother covers the sky in Liao City. It's really hard for us to get a job. That person in elder brother's family isn't easy to deal with. Linglong, you're the smartest. What do you think we should do? What to do? Su Wen hesitated for a moment. Second madam, it's not like there's no way. It just depends on whether or not you're willing to cooperate with me. Linglong, you have a way. Hearing Su Wan's words, Bu Ningshan's eyes brightened. Su Wen lowered her voice and whispered a few words in Bu Ningshan's ears. Bu Ningshan hesitated after hearing Su Wan's suggestion. Of course, this is just my idea. Second madam, think about it. Chapter 350. In the blink of an eye, it was a new year. The Yin family's courtyard was lifeless. Ever since Yin Beige and Yarrow Baiqian had a falling out, he rarely returned to the residence. Yarrow Ruofeng also moved to a side courtyard. She had thought it through. Yin Beige didn't love her and she couldn't have children. Even Yarrow Baichen had abandoned her. Then what path did she have in the Yin family? Since that was the case, why should she look for trouble? She wanted to see how long Hua Yarolan could stay in the Yin family's favor. The reality was just as Yarrow Ruorfeng predicted. Because she didn't have a child, Hua Yarolan was favored in the Yin family in the beginning. Yin Beige also took special care of her. But after the new year, Hua Yarolan still didn't get pregnant. Yarrow Baichen's attitude toward her worsened. At this time, something big happened in the Yin family's courtyard. Hu Huiyu and an entertainer were caught red-handed by Yarrow Baichen's people. This was definitely the Yin family's humiliation. Yin Shun was furious. A general actually got cuckolded by an entertainer. What would happen if this got out? That night, the entertainer was shot to death and concubine who was drowned in a pig cage in the Yin family's backyard. This seemed like a simple affair, but Yin Shun suddenly became vigilant. As a general, he was busy with official business. The entire Yin family's residence was managed by Yarrow Baichen. Originally, Yin Shun trusted Yarrow Baichen a lot. But recently, things happened one after another. He thought about Yin Beiyue's death and Su Wan's death back then. All these incidents, which one of them had nothing to do with Yarrow Baichen? Just as Yin Shun was worrying about his backyard, the war in the north finally reached Liao City. Right now, Yin Shun had no choice but to put down his family matters and personally lead Yin Beige's troops. This war lasted for half a year. By the time Yin Shun and Yin Beige led the troops back, it was the end of summer and the beginning of autumn. Right now, Liao City was bustling with activity. The people were busy harvesting their crops. The wineries and grain farms were also extremely busy. The Yin family had a lot of businesses, but Yin Chengmo had always been managing them. This year, because of the war, Yin Chengmo didn't have time to rush back. Yin Shun had no choice but to let Su Rui manage all the businesses. Originally, he didn't think highly of his third brother. He didn't expect him to handle everything in an orderly manner. He was even better than Yin Chengmo. Could it be that his third brother had really been enlightened? Maybe it was because he had been with Xue Linglong for a long time and learned her shrewdness. Big brother, actually, Linglong and I can help you take care of the family's private assets in the future. Su Rui didn't say it too clearly, but Yin Shun was an astute person. How could he not know what the couple had been thinking these past few years? Saying this, she moved the ginseng soup closer to Yin Shun. I'm not drinking it. Yin Shun lifted his hand and knocked over the steaming soup. The boiling soup splashed onto the back of Yarrow Baichen's hand. Yarrow Baichen, you always say that second brother's wife, Bu Ningshan, is jealous. Then what about you? You know how to love your man and find someone who understands him. Yarrow Baichen, how have I treated you all these years? Have I ever argued with you about the matters in the inner courtyard, Beige and Beiyue's marriage, Yarrow Ruorfeng's matter? I just want to take in a concubine. What do you mean by pushing the responsibility? Hearing Yin Shun's words, Yarrow Baichen looked at the back of her hand with a dark gaze. Master, when did I stop you from taking in concubines when you were young? It's different now. There's something wrong with the people from Linglong House. Anyway, I won't let anyone from Linglong House enter the Yin family. Heh. Hearing Yarrow Baichen's words, Yin Shun laughed coldly. I'm going to marry. I won't take in concubines, I'm going to marry the second wife. I'm going to hold a banquet in Liao City. You. Yin Shun, don't you feel guilty for treating me like this? Hearing Yin Shun's words, Yarrow Baichen's expression finally changed. Guilty. Between the two of us, we know who feels guilty. Yin Shun didn't want to tolerate Yarrow Baichen anymore. They had been husband and wife for more than 20 years. Speaking of their relationship, it was about to be worn down. How is the investigation going? Madam, this servant is still investigating. However, there's no result yet. Trash. Hearing Zhenlan's response, Yarrow Baichen angrily waved her sleeves, her face even paler. You can't even investigate one person. What's the point of me keeping you? Madam, please calm down. Junlan respectfully knelt on the ground. Madam, please give this servant some time. This servant will investigate. Scram. Yes. Walking out of Yarrow Baiqian's room, Junlan's expression was extremely ugly. Everyone in the Yin family knew that she was the first madam's personal servant girl. It looked like she had limitless glory, but who knew how much she had suffered all these years? Sister Junlan. As soon as Junlan walked out of the courtyard, she was stopped by a pleasant voice. She looked up in confusion and saw Bai Yenshue's personal maid, Zhu Yu, standing in front of her with a smile. Sister Junlan, little sister has something to say to you. For someone who was used to being high up in the residence, it wasn't enough to make her fall into the mud. It was best if she was isolated by everyone and lost everything. Yarrow Baiqian's illness had been dragging on. It wasn't serious, but there was no improvement. Doctors changed one after another until the end of the year. Hua Yaolan's belly was also big and Bai Yenshue's position in the Yin family was stable. Many people seemed to have forgotten that the eldest madam had always been in the Yin family. Yarrow Baiqian wasn't willing. She wasn't willing to hand over everything in the Yin family to Bai Yenshue, that shameless little white flower. She had already secretly found people in the Yarrow family to help her investigate Bai Yenshue, Shui Linglong, and even everyone in Linglong Lu Yarrow Baiqian felt that there was definitely a conspiracy. She would definitely get to the bottom of it. While Yarrow Baiqian was busy being a detective, Yin Shun took in another concubine. This concubine wasn't a stranger. It was Yarrow Baiqian's side, Junlan. The day Junlan entered the door, Yarrow Baiqian rushed into the hall after learning that she was betrayed. She wanted to teach Junlan a lesson like crazy. In her panic, Yarrow Baiqian knocked down Hua Yaolan, who came forward to stop the fight, causing Hua Yaolan to almost have a miscarriage. Bitch. Slap. Under the astonished gazes of all the guests, Yin Shun slapped Yarrow Baiqian harshly. Yarrow Baiqian was dumbfounded looking at the pale-faced Hua Yaolan on the ground. Yarrow Baiqian wanted to say something, but right now, there was only Yin Shun's anger, Yin Beige's indifference, and Bai Yenshue's schadenfreude. Phut! Yarrow Baiqian spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted while the guests were whispering amongst themselves. By the time Yarrow Baiqian woke up again, she had returned to her room. The candlelight flickered and the dim light reflected a familiar face. This was Linglong. Yarrow Baiqian looked dazedly at the person sitting by her bed, her voice a bit hoarse. Sister-in-law, you're awake? How do you feel? Su Wan immediately tugged at the corner of her blanket, seeing that Yarrow Baiqian had woken up. Yarrow Baiqian froze seeing Su Wan's actions. Linglong, why are you here? I came to see you. Su Wan revealed a strange smile at Yarrow Baiqian. In the future, fewer and fewer people will come to see you. If I don't come to see you, how lonely will you be? Yarrow Baiqian had a bad feeling seeing Su Wan's smile. Hair. Su Wan suddenly bent down and quietly looked at Yarrow Baiqian on the bed. How does it feel to be bedridden? Thanks to you, I've been bedridden for half a year. You are. Yarrow Baiqian's pupils contracted hearing Su Wan's words. She struggled to get up but realized that her limbs wouldn't listen to her. Stop struggling pointlessly. Do you think you're the only one who knows how to poison people? Su Wan narrowed her eyes and smiled at Yarrow Baiqian. This is the poison I personally concocted. It's really effective. In the future, just lie here. Every once in a while, I'll come see you and tell you how the Yin family fell apart. Yarrow Baiqian, don't die. Su Wan. Yarrow Baiqian glared at Su Wan fiercely. You evil woman, I won't let you go. I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. You want to overthrow the Yin family? That's wishful thinking. Beige won't be tricked by you anymore. I'm going to tell him your true colors and tell everyone. Okay, then go tell them. Yarrow Baiqian, do you think anyone in the Yin family still believes you? The saddest thing in the world was that every word you said was true, but no one was willing to believe you. Su Wan stood up calmly and then leisurely walked away. Su Wan, you'll die a horrible death. Yarrow Baiqian's hoarse voice rang from the room. Su Wn walked outside and Su Rui was waiting for her. Su Rui furrowed his brows hearing Yarrow Baiqian's voice. Why don't we just kill her? Forget it. Isn't it good to let her live a life worse than death? How easy is death? Living is hard. Chapter 352. Yin family's first madam lost her mind from the stimulation. This news slowly spread throughout Liao City. Yin family's people didn't dare to go near Yarrow Baiqian's room. Only the older kitchen maid would bring her food every day. According to the kitchen maid, Yarrow Baiqian would shout the dead first madam's name every day. She even said that third madam was the first madam and that she came back to take revenge for the Yin family. Naturally, no one believed her crazy words. The only one who knew the truth was Yin Beige. He knew that his mother was biased against Su Wan, so he didn't take Yarrow Baiqian's words to heart. Just like that, the power of the entire Yin residence's inner courtyard slowly fell into Bai Yenshua's hands. She quietly eliminated the dissidents. Not long after, she got rid of everyone who was in the way. Right now, Bai Yanshua felt that Yin Shun was a bit tired of her. She started taking in concubines for Yin Shun. As the saying goes, lust is like a knife above one's head. Yin Shun had been fed a lot of tonics by Bai Yanshua and his concubines were warm and happy. Slowly, their bodies were emptied. Right now, the time was ripe. Su Wan immediately contacted Yin Chungmo and his wife secretly, preparing to seize power. In these 2 years, Yin Chungmo used his family's wealth to privately organize an army. While Yin Beige was leading the army to fight against Ying City's army, Yin Chungmo charged into the general's residence and took the general position. No one wanted brothers to kill each other. Originally, Yin Chungmo only planned on seizing power and didn't plan on doing anything to Yin Shun. But Su Wan naturally wouldn't let this end so easily. After Yin Chungmo succeeded in seizing power and was about to put Yin Shun under house arrest, Su Rui sent someone to assassinate Yin Shun. Yin Chungmo killing his brother and seizing power immediately caused a huge uproar in Liao City. Yin Chungmo was just a businessman after all. Facing this sudden situation, he was completely dumbfounded. Thankfully, Su Rui and Su Wan were there to give him advice. When Yin Beige brought the army to the border, Yin Chungmo could only push Yin Beige's 2 wives, Yarrow Ruorfeng and Hua Yarrowlan, out as hostages. Beige, second uncle doesn't want to do anything to you. Your wives are all here. Plus, Yarrowlan is about to give birth. You're going to be a father, wife, child. Yin Beige hesitated in front of the person closest to him. In the end, for the safety of his wife and child, he had no choice but to temporarily compromise with Yin Chungmo. After taking Yin Beige's weapons and taking in his army, Yin Chungmo let Yin Beige return to the Yin family mansion in the city. That night, the general's mansion. General, do you really believe Yin Beige? Yang Xiuwu massaged Yin Chungmo's shoulders and whispered in his ear, if you don't remove the roots, it will grow again. Marshal, you have to think twice. Cut the weeds and pull up the roots. Hearing Yang Xiuwu's words, Yin Chungmo's expression changed. His brother's death indeed had nothing to do with him, but everyone in Liao City thought that he did it. Would Yin Beige really let him go? Even if he took in his men, would he really dare to use them without worry? Thinking of this, Yin Chungmo's expression immediately turned gloomy. A man must be ruthless. Why should those who do great things be afraid of trifles? A month later, Hua Yarrowlan successfully gave birth to a boy named Yin Chengji for the Yin family. After the child was born, Yin Chungmo and Bu Ningshan held a grand 1-month banquet for the child. Many nobles in Liao City came to the banquet. Even the Yarrow family who was far away specially sent people over. At this banquet, a large group of assassins suddenly appeared. These people were naturally prepared by Yin Beige and the Yarrow family. They wanted to catch Yin Chungmo off guard. Yin Chungmo originally wanted to find people to kill Yin Beige at the banquet. He didn't expect that he would die from a random gunshot. The hall was filled with blood. Looking at Yin Chungmo and Bu Ningshan's corpses, Yin Beige slowly raised his hand to cover Hua Yaolan's eyes. Yarrowlan, stop looking. Take the child back to the room. Young general. Hearing Yin Beiji's words, Hua Yarolan hesitated. Where's Shouwu? Don't make things difficult for her. She doesn't know anything. I know. Yin Beige nodded and then walked out of the hall. The torches in the courtyard were brightly lit. Lu Anbo had gathered with a large group of people. Standing next to Lu Anbo was Su Rui, Su Wan, and Yang Shouwu. Thank you, third uncle, third aunt, and Lady Shouwu. Hearing Yin Beiji's words, Yang Shouwu bowed. Su Rui smiled faintly. Don't thank me. There's nothing I can do about brother's death. I can't just watch as second brother causes you to die. Beige, there's no end to revenge. Don't make things difficult for Bei and Beiyang. Yin Beige nodded. I know what to do. The wind is strong at night. Third uncle, take third aunt back. Her health isn't good. From start to finish, Su Wan didn't say anything, but Yin Beige's attention never left her. Yin Beige couldn't forget what Yang Shouwu said to him in private 2 nights ago. Shouwu was indebted to Sister Linglong. The reason why Shouwu risked her life to tell you this news was all for Sister Linglong. Actually, she was already at the end of her rope. Third Master knew this and she knew it too. Young General, if you really have her in your heart, then let her leave in peace. Up until that moment did Yin Beige know that Su Wan couldn't live for much longer. He really wanted to hug her, but he couldn't. He could only look at her from afar, watching her stand beside another man, holding another man's hand. Because he was the one who gave up first. Everything that happened now was a punishment from the heavens. After Yin Chengmo died, Yin Beige reorganized Liao City and Yin family gradually recovered. Everything seemed to be developing in a good direction, but was it really like this? When Yin Chengji was half a year old, he could already speak. Su Wan specially carried him to Yarrow Baiqian's room. Right now, Yarrow Baiqian's place was much better than before. Yin Beige still cared about the relationship between mother and son. However, Yarrow Baiqian was deeply poisoned and she couldn't speak anymore. Sister-in-law, I'm here to see you again. When Su Wan carried the child inside, Yarrow Baiqian had just finished eating. Seeing Su Wan's smile, Yarrow Baiqian's gaze immediately turned sinister. Sister-in-law, you're in good spirits. Look who I brought to see you. Su Wan pushed the child forward. Seeing her grandson, Yarrow Baiqian's gaze turned joyful. Then she looked at Su Wan vigilantly. What? You're scared that I'll do something bad to your grandson? Su Wan smiled and let go of her hand. Do you think he'll fall to his death if I let go of my hand? He'll probably just become disabled. Sob. Yarrow Baiqian, who was on the bed, wanted to shout with all her might, but she couldn't make a sound. Ha ha. Su Wan couldn't help but laugh. Don't be nervous. I won't use someone else's child's life to satisfy my own selfish desires. Plus, you don't know yet, right? Su Wan placed the child to the side and then whispered in Yarrow Baiqian's ears, this child isn't Yin Beiji's at all. What? Yarrow Baiqian widened her eyes and froze. Don't doubt me. I'll tell you another secret. Su Wan's smile grew. Your son won't have any children in this lifetime. Your Yin family is going to have no descendants. Saying this, Su Wan took out a dried herb and waved it in front of Yarrow Baiqian. This is it. Wearing it close to one's body will make a man infertile. Back then, I ground this into powder and gave it to Yin Beige. Even now, he's still wearing it. How infatuated. What an infatuated person. Yarrow Baiqian's eyes reddened hearing Su Wan's words. She was furious, but there was nothing she could do. Yarrow Baiqian, you planted this yourself back then. Today, I'll let your son taste the bitter fruit. I want him to raise someone else's son for the rest of his life. He has to think about a woman that will never belong to him. Don't you think he's pitiful? Don't you think it's funny? Sob. Yarrow Baiqian moved a few times on the bed and then spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood splashed onto Su Wan's chipao. Su Wan didn't avoid it. She watched as Yarrow Baiqian breathed her last in front of her. Actually, this world's missions were the easiest to complete. When Su Wan came, The male lead and female lead hadn't even met yet. She had too many ways to complete the mission. The reason why she stayed here was probably because of the injustice in her heart. Only people who had been cannon fodder before would understand the feeling of unwillingness. The original body never did anything wrong, but she ended up in such a pitiful state. In the original world, Yin Beige and Guang Li had a happy ending. In the end, Yarrow Baiqian was able to turn over a new leaf. Maybe the female lead's halo touched her? But Su Wan couldn't accept this ending. Even if Yarrow Baiqian turned over a new leaf, could the people she harmed rest in peace? Su Wan didn't want to forgive someone like Yarrow Baiqian. She couldn't. Other than Su Wan, who else could empathize with the original body's experiences? You're not her, so don't assume that you know her pain. You don't know that other than herself, no one knows what it feels like. Yarrow Baiqian's death didn't cause much of a commotion in the Yin family. After Yarrow Baiqian's death, Su Wan and Su Rui left Liao City. When they left, she even brought Guang Li along. Guang Li knew that she misunderstood Yin Beige after Su Rui's explanation. Naturally, she gave up on her laughable thought of assassinating Yin Beige. Plus, Su Wan told Guang Li about her past. Guang Li, who had a pure personality, knew that Su Wan was her sister. Naturally, she was willing to be with Su Wan and leave Liao City with her. Not long after Su Wan and Su Rui left, Yin family's stores started to have problems. Su Rui emptied all of the stores, leaving Yin Beige with a terrible mess. Yin Beige spent a lot of time and manpower to stabilize Yin family's businesses. By the time he finally settled everything, Yin family hadn't recovered yet when Yin Beichao suddenly returned to the country. He was a financial genius who returned from overseas. He came back to take revenge for killing his mother. After returning to the country, Yin Beichao found Yin Bei and Yin Beiyang, who were separated from him. The three of them teamed up with the goal of destroying Yin family and Yarrow family. Facing his former brother's revenge, Yin Beige had already given in. He really wanted to bury the hatchet, but at this time, Yin Beichao and the others suddenly received the support of the military governor from the capital. The situation between the two sides immediately took a shocking turn. A generation of warlords, the huge Yin family was originally prosperous and harmonious. Unfortunately, in the end, they ended up killing each other and dying miserably. Many years later, Yin family declined and Liao City also became someone else's territory. Yarrow Ruorfeng and the Yarrow family were gone too. Yin Beige was alone now. A few years ago, Hua Yarrowlan had taken the child to seek refuge with Boss Huang. As it turned out, that person was the child's biological father. Yin Beige suddenly felt like his life was a joke. On a snowy night, he curled up in an old room and slowly took out the brocade pouch that Su Wan left him back then. Looking at it, he smiled and closed his eyes. Chapter 353. Stupid girl, why aren't you getting up? Are you looking for a beating? Pa, the sturdy rattan fell on Su Wan's body. She felt pain on her waist and her whole body immediately rolled down from the small wooden bed. Although she was already prepared, looking at her small arms and legs, Su Wan still frowned gloomily. Stupid girl, why are you furrowing your brows? Hurry up and help me with my work. A woman's dissatisfied and mean voice rang. Su Wan looked up to see a woman wearing blue clothes. Her hair was combed to her ears and she wore an apron around her waist. She was currently looking at Su Wan coldly. This woman didn't look to be over 30 years old and had a pretty appearance. She was Su Wan's stepmother, Liu Li. She and Su Wan's father, Su Guoliang, had been married for 6 years. Su Wan was just 9 years old while her sister, Su Qingmai, was 5 years old. Mother. At this time, Su Qingmai seemed to have been startled awake by Liu Li's voice. Wearing a dress, she rubbed her beautiful eyes and looked at Su Wan and Liu Li hazily. Mom, don't hit my sister. Don't hit my sister, okay? Su Qingmai's beautiful eyes were filled with tears as she said this. Ah, my darling, don't cry, don't cry. Mother didn't hit sister. Saying this, Liu Li glared at Su Wan. Stupid girl, Can't you see your sister crying? Hurry up and coax her. Oh. Su Wn slowly climbed up from the ground and then walked over to Su Qingmai. Sister, don't cry. I'll take you out to play, okay? Sure, sure. Hearing Su Wan's words, Su Qingmai immediately stopped crying. She grabbed Su Wan's hand. Before Liu Li could react, the two sisters had already left the room. This child. Liu Li stood behind the two of them and sighed heavily. Su Guiliang's family lived in the Seheyuan. There were 7 or 8 families in the courtyard. Although Liu Li's personality was a bit shrewish, she knew how to read people's expressions. Plus, Su Guiliang was famous for being an honest person. Su Wan and Su Qingmai were cute too. Therefore, their family was quite popular in the Seheyuan. Seeing Su Wan and Su Qingmai walking out side by side, the elders sitting in the courtyard immediately greeted them. Xiao Wan, you're taking your sister out to play again? Yes. Su Wan answered crisply. Then she hopped and hopped out with Su Qingmai. Walking out of the courtyard, they looked at the old brick road as well as the people riding bicycles to and fro. Su Wan and Su Qingmai sighed inwardly at the same time. Damn it, this really is a deceptive era. That's right. Su Qingmai had been reborn. She was the female lead of this world. In her past life, Su Qingmai grew up under Liu Li's love. Ever since she was young, she was very strong-willed and headstrong. At that time, Liu Li didn't treat Su Wan well, but Su Qingmai didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Later on, the two sisters slowly grew up and Su Wan fell in love with Xie Chang'an, who lived next door. In that era, people's feelings were really sincere and pure. Su Wan silently liked Xie Chang'an, but she didn't dare tell anyone. Therefore, she could only write it in her diary. Su Qingmai accidentally discovered the diary. She was 4 years younger than Su Wan. At that time, Su Qingmai was only 12 years old. She didn't know what love was. She was just curious. What did her sister mean by like? What was so good about Xie Chang'an? Therefore, slowly, Su Qingmai also started paying attention to Xie Chang'an. As time passed, she slowly fell in love with Xie Chang'an. Different from Su Wan, Su Qingmai dared to love and hate. When she was 15, she confessed to Xie Chang'an. At that time, Xie Chang'an was already 20 and in university. He would be lying if he said he wasn't moved by his childhood sweetheart's confession. Su Qingmai was prettier than Su Wan and she grew up under Liu Li's pampering. Su Qingmai, who had learned to dance and play the piano, had an outstanding aura. Who wouldn't like a girl like her? Therefore, after Su Qingmai's confession, the two secretly started dating. However, their relationship didn't last for long. After Su Qingmai went to high school, she met the handsome history teacher, Gaou. Gaou was a descendant of an aristocratic family and he was in school. He had an extraordinary way of talking and was abnormally handsome. At that time, many girls in school secretly liked him, but he liked Su Qingmai immediately. Under Gaou's attack of money and sweet words, Su Qingmai quickly fell for him. She forgot her promise with Xie Chang'an and threw herself into Gaou's embrace. 2 years later, Gaou left school and went to work in the education department. Su Qingmai also successfully got into university. She had always hoped that after she graduated, she could start a family with Gaou and live happily. But the cruel reality shattered her beautiful dream. Because Su Qingmai's university was in another city, she and Gaou didn't spend much time together. However, the two still maintained a close relationship. There was one time when the school did a physical examination and Su Qingmai was found to be pregnant. This was definitely a scandal that shocked the entire school. Su Qingmai couldn't care less and didn't have time to call Gaou. She hurriedly took the train back to her hometown. But when she arrived at Gaou's home, she saw Gaou being intimate with a female colleague. "I'm just playing with you. Su Qingmai, don't tell me you can't afford to play with me." Su Qingmai could never forget Gaou's face back then. It was really disgusting. She was expelled from school because of her pregnancy. She didn't dare to go home and she didn't even have the money to go for an operation. At this time, Su Qingmai met Xie Chang'an again. Xie Chang'an was married to Su Wan now. He was Su Qingmei's brother-in-law. Xie Chang'an immediately arranged a hospital for her after finding out that something had happened to Su Qingmai. In order to take care of her emotions, he had been busy by himself. He didn't tell the Su family about this. Xie Chang'an even personally went to the school and begged repeatedly. Only then did the school allow Su Qingmai to take a break from school and return after a year. Lying on the cold hospital bed, looking at Xie Chang'an's tired but gentle face, Su Qingmai suddenly felt endless regret. Back then, she clearly had such a good man. Why didn't she cherish him? Did she have to be blinded by those sweet words, vanity, and money? Su Qingmai felt really regretful. Would anyone still want her now that she was like this? What if the matter between her and Gao Yu got out? How was she going to live? Xie Chang'an was willing to help her with all his heart. He must still love her deeply, right? Unfortunately, he was Su Wan's husband now. If time could go back and everything could start over, Xie Chang'an, I definitely can't miss you. I definitely can't miss you. Su Qingmai fainted on the hospital bed with this thought. When she woke up, she realized that she had returned to when she was 5 years old. This year, Xie Chang'an's family had just moved to this county town. Chapter 354. An old blue van pulled a cart full of furniture and stopped at the gate next door. A young woman dressed neatly got out of the van. Then, a boy around 8 or 9 years old jumped out with her. The boy had delicate features and bright eyes. The moment she saw the boy, Su Qingmei's breathing quickened. It was Xie Chang'an. Xie Chang'an was just 10 years old right now. He was a bit thinner than normal boys, but one could see the handsome young man in his eyes. Feeling Su Qingmei's sweaty palms, Su Wan's gaze flickered and she said, "Sister, look. Someone's moving over there. We have a new neighbor." Yeah. Hearing Su Wan's words, Su Qingmai blinked and quickly broke free from Su Wan's hands. "Sister, I'll go take a look." Saying this, Su Qingmai ran towards Xie Chang'an's house. Seeing the small figure getting further and further away, Su Wan's gaze grew deeper. In her past life, Su Qingmai gave up on Xie Chang'an because of her vanity. After Xie Chang'an graduated from Chang'an University, his mother arranged for him to marry Su Wan. The couple helped each other and loved each other very much. Maybe Xie Chang'an still remembered Su Qingmai back then. That girl who bravely said "I like you" to him. Unfortunately, that was in the past. No one would stay in the same spot forever. When you're moving forward, others are also moving forward. The reason why you can't see them was probably because their path was different from yours. Actually, when Su Qingmai was abandoned by Gao Yu, Su Wan and Xie Chang'an had a child too. Xie Chang'an pitied Su Qingmai after what happened to her. At the same time, he didn't want his family to know about this, especially his wife. She had a weak personality and her body wasn't good. She was also pregnant. It wouldn't be good if she was triggered by this. As a man, Xie Chang'an shouldered this alone. He ran around for Su Qingmai, but he didn't expect that Su Qingmai would misunderstand his actions and think that Xie Chang'an still loved her deeply. After her rebirth, Su Qingmai started to get close to Xie Chang'an intentionally or unintentionally, acting as an innocent loli in front of him. As the saying goes, childhood sweethearts are paired with childhood sweethearts. With Su Wan's existence, Su Wan's sense of existence became very low. Therefore, in this life, the original Su Wan became cannon fodder. She and Xie Chang'an were a match made in heaven. In this life, because of Su Qingmai, she could only secretly like Xie Chang'an. She watched as Xie Chang'an doted on Su Qingmai and they got married. People who don't know the truth are always happy. The original owner didn't know what happened in her past life. In this life, she actually felt grateful towards Su Qingmai. Because Su Qingmai felt guilty towards Su Wan in this life, she often spoke up for her in front of Liu Li. Therefore, the two sisters had a great relationship in this life. After Su Qingmai and Xie Chang'an got together, She even helped Su Wan find a decent man. Seeing Su Wan get married, Su Qingmei's heart finally calmed down. Su Wan would be happy with whoever she was with because she was a kind-hearted little woman. Plus, Xie Chang'an didn't love her in the past life, right? Su Qingmei had always believed that Xie Chang'an loved her. He had always loved her. Therefore, even if she didn't get between him and Su Wan, their ending would still be a tragedy. As someone who was reborn, she had to stop this tragedy. Su Qingmei believed that the heavens let her be reborn so that she could stop the tragedy from happening. Su Wan put away her complicated thoughts. When she looked up again, she saw Su Qingmei panting as she ran over to Xie Chang'an. She blinked her obsidian-like eyes and looked at Xie Chang'an with a smile. Her voice was also especially childish and pleasant. Big brother, are you our new neighbor? You're Su Qingmei. What's your name? Xie Chang'an smiled faintly, seeing such a cute loli calling him big brother sweetly. He caressed Su Qingmei's hair and said, I'm Xie Chang'an. You can call me brother Chang'an. Saying this, Xie Chang'an suddenly looked at Su Wan, who had been standing not too far away, quietly watching them. The weather was a bit cold, but Su Wan was still wearing thin clothes. Her skinny figure stood in the cold wind, looking at them coldly. There were no other emotions in her eyes. No one seemed to be able to tell what she was thinking. Qingmei, is that your sister? Xie Chang'an pointed at Su Wan in the cold wind. Oh, yeah. Su Qingmei froze but quickly answered, my sister is really scared of strangers. Really? Hearing Su Qingmei's words, Xie Chang'an smiled warmly and waved at Su Wan. Hi. Hello. We're neighbors from now on. I'm Xie Chang'an. What about you? Su Wan. Su Wan didn't move from her spot and said faintly to Xie Chang'an. Su Wan. Xie Chang'an looked down and smiled at Su Qingmei. Your sister doesn't like to talk. Su Qingmei heard Xie Chang'an's words and rolled her eyes. Brother Chang'an, can I help you move? I have the strength. Saying this, she ran to the truck and tiptoed, wanting to take something from the truck. Xie Chang'an's mother, Liao Yuqin, was amused by Su Qingmei's actions. Girl, be good. You won't be able to take it. Here, Auntie will give you a candy. You and brother Chang'an can go play over there. Seeing Liao Yuqin handing her a candy with a smile, Su Qingmei thanked her sweetly. Thank you, beautiful auntie. Beautiful? Hearing her words, the smile on Liao Yuqin's face deepened. Su Qingmei was really happy too. In her past life, Liao Yuqin liked Su Wan but not Su Qingmei. When Su Qingmei and Xie Chang'an were secretly dating, she knew that Liao Yuqin didn't like her. In this life, Su Qingmei decided to use her age advantage to get Liao Yuqin, her future mother-in-law. Brother Chang'an, let's go play over there. Saying this, Su Qingmei grabbed Xie Chang'an's hand. Xie Chang'an seemed to be in a daze. Then he allowed Su Qingmei to pull him over to Su Wan. Sister, this is brother Chang'an. I know. Su Wan replied coldly. She wasn't deaf. Xie Chang'an had just introduced himself, so she naturally heard it clearly. Seeing Su Wan's cold gaze, Xie Chang'an continued to smile brightly. It's windy here. I'll take you guys to play in the yard, okay? Okay. Su Qingmei naturally clapped in agreement hearing Xie Chang'an's words. But Su Wan shrunk her shoulders. You guys go play. I have to go home and do my homework. Chapter 355. When Su Wan returned home alone, Liu Li had just finished tidying up the house. Seeing that Su Wan came back alone, Liu Li glared at her. Why are you alone? Where's your sister? My sister is playing with the neighbor's brother in the yard. Su Wan answered, turned around and walked straight to her small room. Stupid girl, where are you going? Liu Li's voice rang from behind her. Su Wan didn't stop walking and answered coldly, I'm going to do my homework. I haven't finished it yet. Right. What can you write? You're so dumb. It's not like you can get into university. Liu Li muttered behind Su Wan and then went back to work in the kitchen. Liu Li was a typical housewife. The heavy responsibility of making money fell on Su Guoliang. Su Guoliang was a worker at Sea City's car factory. In this era, it was a really good job. His salary was enough to support the entire family. As for Liu Li, she just had to take care of the trivial matters at home and also take care of Su Wan and Su Qingmai. Of course, taking care of Su Qingmai was the most important thing. Su Wan was just passing by. Su Wan had already returned to her room. Although it was called a room, it was just a room that was less than 5 square meters in size. There was a small wooden bed that she found a carpenter to make. There was a worn-out study table by the bed and an old-fashioned wardrobe next to the table. This was Su Wan's birth mother and Su Guoliang's dowry. After her mother passed away, this wardrobe had been left in Su Wan's room. Phew! Looking at her small room, Su Wan sighed. She walked to the table and looked at the math homework that she didn't finish last night. It was the addition and subtraction within 100. Out of 10 questions, she actually wrote 6 wrong. Su Wan was also drunk. Sea City, city center, government compound. Creek. Gao Jian came back from work to see his wife, Dong Yuan, sitting on the sofa with an unhappy expression. Yuan, what's wrong? Putting down his briefcase, Gao Jian took off his suit and asked out of concern. What do you think happened to me? Dong Yuan, who was less than 40 years old, maintained her body well. She wore light makeup and a tight-fitting woolen sweater and skirt. Hearing her husband's words, she immediately raised her eyebrows and said angrily, "Our little ancestor beat up the dean of students at school today." After coming back, she insisted on transferring to Shasan High School no matter what. What? Gao Jian's face darkened when he heard his wife's words. "Gao you little brat. Get out here." Bang! At this moment, the sound of the door being forcefully opened came from the innermost bedroom. A young man in a blue school uniform walked out with a cold expression. When he saw Gao Jian in the living room, the young man restrained his sharp gaze and said nonchalantly, "Dad, you're back. You still know that I'm your father." If you don't get a beating for 3 days, you'll tear down the roof tiles, huh? How dare you hit someone in number 1 high school, and the one you hit was the dean of students. Don't you miss him anymore? Yes. Facing Gao Jian's uncontrollable anger, the young man still had a cold expression. Either drop out of school or transfer to Shasan High School. You little brat. Hearing his son's words, Gao Jian immediately picked up the ashtray on the coffee table and was about to smash it on his head. Gao Jian, what are you doing? Do you have any sense of an intellectual? Is this how you teach your child? You hit him without a word. What if you hurt my son? Seeing that Gao Jian was really going to hit him, Dong Yuan immediately stood up to protect her son. Gao Jian was speechless. What do you mean by a doting mother spoils her son? Mom, you don't have to protect me. At this moment, Gao Yu slowly pushed Dong Yuan away. Dad, transfer me to Shasan High School. I'll get first place in the city for the college entrance examination the year after next. What do you think? You. Hearing Gao Yu's words, not only Gao Jian, but even Dong Yuan was stunned. Little Yu, are you serious? Dong Yuan's eyes flashed as she looked at her son excitedly. What did it mean to get first place in the city? Going to be university was definitely a done deal. If he really got in, how much face would he have? I'll do what I say. Gao Yu looked at Gao Jian with a determined gaze. Dad, tell me if you can or not. Seeing his son's confident gaze, Gao Jian hesitated for a moment. All right, you better remember what you said today. If you make any mistakes during the college entrance examination, I won't let you off. Also, don't think that I don't know what you did in number 1 high school. Restrain yourself when you get to Shasan High School. If I find out that you're in love, you're dead. Gao Yu was speechless. With who? Puppy. Little brat. Thinking of this, a certain young man felt a bit worried. He was a 17 and almost 18 years old, but Su Wan was a 9-year-old brat. Plus, because of her weak body and poor family conditions, Su Wan, who was already 9 years old, was only in 2nd grade. The difference between 2nd year of high school and 2nd year of primary school was like heaven and earth. That's right. Gao was naturally Su Rui. In the past life, Gao dumped Su Qingmai. But in this life, Su Qingmai used the halo of the female lead abusing the scumbag, torturing Gao badly. But the more she tormented him, the more he was interested in her. As the saying goes, the female lead abused me hundreds and thousands of times, but I treated her like my first love. This was the feeling of the legendary bitter supporting male. Right now, Gao was supposed to be studying in the best high school in Sea City. 2 years later, he would successfully enter a teacher's college in the neighboring province. Then he would graduate and become a teacher at Shasan High School, getting to know Su Qingmai. After that, Gao Jian used his connections to transfer him to the education department. It could be said that after Su Qingmai's rebirth, Gao's life didn't change much. The only thing that changed a lot was his love life. He was an outstanding young master. After the female lead's halo shone on him, he immediately became an infatuated supporting male lead. He chased after the female lead relentlessly, never changing. Of course, now that Su Rui had become Gao, he just wanted to say. What was the female lead? Could she eat it? Night time. Su Rui's room. Xiao Yu, Shasan High School is really far from our home. I heard that it's really chaotic there. People often fight and cause trouble. Don't learn from those bad kids. Dong Yuan couldn't help but nag while helping her son pack his things. She was an only child. She and Gao Jian responded to the call of the country and gave birth to Gao, her only son. This son was her precious darling. When she thought about her son going to a high school so far away and being unfamiliar with the place and people, Dong Yuan felt very worried. Xiao Yu, if anything happens in school, go find Principal Liu. Your father has already informed him. He'll take care of you. Do you remember? I understand. I remember. Su Rui absent-mindedly answered while sitting on the bedside. He was actually thinking about how to enter the Su family's residence. Su Qingmai definitely wouldn't welcome him. However, he could start from Su Guoliang, and Liu Li. Su Guoliang was an honest worker while Liu Li was a housewife. Although she looked fierce and unreasonable, she didn't have a backbone when something big happened. Su Guoliang was an honest worker. Speaking of which, I heard that Su Wan's grades were really bad. Should he become her tutor? Chapter 356. Su Wan's school was Shasan Elementary School, higher than the neighboring Shasan Elementary School. Xiao Wan, it's time to eat. Liu Li woke Su Wan up in a daze at 6 in the morning. It was also Su Guoliang's time to work. Every day, the father and daughter would eat breakfast together. Although Shasan Elementary School wasn't far from Su Wan's home, Su Guoliang would ride his bicycle to school on his way to work every morning. When Su Guoliang was at home, Liu Li would call Su Wan Xiao Wan. Her tone wasn't cold, but it wasn't warm either. But when Su Guoliang was at work, she would call him brat most of the time. The original Su Guoliang had a weak physique and a slow mind. She had always been submissive and had never mentioned anything about Liu Li in front of Su Guoliang. Hence, the honest Su Guoliang had always thought that his wife treated his eldest daughter well. Good morning, father, mother. Su Wan wore a dark blue school uniform that was a bit too big and slowly walked out of her room. Xiao Wan, hurry and eat. It's going to get cold. Su Guoliang specially placed a piece of meat in Su Wan's bowl. Liu Li glanced at it and then turned around without saying anything. The 5-year-old Su Qingmai was still in kindergarten. At this time, Liu Li didn't wake her precious daughter up. Plus, she specially left the biggest and best piece of meat in the pot for Su Qingmai. Su Wan went to the narrow bathroom to wash up and then combed her hair into a ponytail before quickly walking out. Breakfast was eaten very quickly. After eating, Su Wan carried her school bag and went out with Su Guoliang. The morning air was particularly fresh. Su Guoliang pushed his permanent bicycle out of the courtyard and Su Wn sat on the back seat of the bicycle with ease. Looking at the broad back of the man in front of her, Su Wn couldn't help but softly say, "Dad, can you often accompany me at home in the future?" Su Guoliang heard his daughter's words and froze. "Xiao Wan, what's wrong? Father isn't home but mother is. Are you bored?" No, it's," Su Wn hesitated. Seeing that they were at the school gate after another intersection, Su Wn said softly, "Father, when you're not home, mother will whip me. It hurts. Only when you're at home will she not hit me, nor will she call me a brat." "What did you say?" Hearing Su Wan's words, Su Guoliang immediately stopped the bike and jumped off the bike. He looked at his daughter in the back seat seriously. "Is what you said true?" Feeling Su Guoliang's seriousness, Su Wan's thin little face immediately revealed a frightened and wronged expression. Daddy, don't hit me. Don't hit me. I won't do it again. I won't do it again. Xiao Wan." Seeing Su Wn crying out of fear, Su Guoliang immediately panicked. "What's wrong with you? What was going on? Daddy didn't say I was going to hit you. Dad, aren't you going to hit Xiao Wan?" "But Mom said that if I told you about those things, you would beat me. I was afraid." Liu Li. Su Guoliang gritted his teeth. The reason why he married Liu Li back then was because she could take care of the house well. Of course, the main reason was because she said she liked children. Before they got married, Su Guoliang saw that she treated Su Wn really well, so he married her. He didn't think that she would abuse his daughter when he wasn't home. "Xiao Wan, be good. Don't cry. Daddy will take you to school. Be good and go home after school. Don't say anything. Daddy will buy you bread after work, okay? Really?" Su Wan widened her eyes hearing Su Guoliang's words and looked at him happily. "Thank you, Daddy. Daddy is the best daddy in the world. Silly girl." Su Guoliang felt a bit sad hearing his daughter's words. He turned his head and wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes. "Let's go. Daddy will take you to school." After sending Su Wn to the school gate, Su Guoliang watched her enter the school gate before turning around and riding his bicycle to leave. However, he didn't go to work but to go home. Walking into the spacious campus, she saw little turnips with short arms and short legs walking around her. Su Wn shook her school bag. Thinking about how she had to go to the second year, third class on the third floor, she felt a bit of a headache. Question: what's the creature with the biggest brain hole in the world? Answer: elementary school dogs, naughty children. Now, she actually became an elementary school student and had to go to class, eat, and play with a bunch of naughty children. What a sad story. Su Wan. Just as Su Wan was about to walk to the corner of the teaching building and head up the stairs, she heard a familiar voice behind her. Su Wn hesitated and turned around to see Xie Chang'an standing behind her with a smile while carrying a backpack. He was wearing the same old and rustic dark blue school uniform, but it fit him quite well. At least, it looked comfortable. "It's you." Su Wn studied Xie Chang'an. "You're also studying here?" "Yeah." Xie Chang'an smiled and walked to Su Wan. "I'm in the 4th year, first class. What about you?" To the original owner of the body, grades were the biggest scars. But Su Wan didn't care. "2nd year, 3rd class." Saying this, she walked upstairs while Xie Chang'an silently followed behind her. The 2nd year was on the 3rd floor while the 4th year was on the 4th floor. Xie Chang'an watched as Su Wan silently walked into 2nd year class 3's classroom. He glanced at the door of her class and then turned around to go back to his class. "Su Wan, you're here." The moment Su Wan returned to her seat, Jiang Mai immediately patted Su Wan's shoulder excitedly. "Su Wan, my mother took me to the newly opened amusement park to play yesterday. It was really fun. Do you know what a Ferris wheel is? It's so big, you can fly to the sky." Su Wan was speechless. Jiang Mai was clearly really excited as she rambled on and on. Then she noticed that Su Wan didn't react. Jiang Mai pursed her lips and looked at Su Wan gloomily. Did you not understand? Su Wan nodded. Jiang Mai suddenly remembered that Su Wan didn't understand every language class. She was like a frog in a well yesterday, so she didn't understand. She had to explain it to her. Thinking of this, Jiang Mai was filled with pride. At the same time, she felt like she had a huge responsibility. Caring for the students, being united and loving, that was what a class leader should do. Therefore, Jiang Mai explained to Su Wan what a Ferris wheel and a roller coaster were, not afraid of the hardship. Su Wan, where's God? Who can save me? The lessons of the second grade of primary school were like a lullaby to Su Xiaowan, the top student of her generation. She fell asleep while listening to the lesson, but the strange thing was that no one woke her up. Nani? So the teachers and students had given up on her? During the lunch break, most of the students went out to play. Only Su Wan continued to sleep in the classroom. With great difficulty, she managed to endure until school ended. Su Wan didn't even have time to look at what her homework was. She packed her bag and rushed out of the classroom. The tide of people who had just finished school looked over and saw patches of dark blue. What a ridiculous school uniform. Su Wan originally wanted to ridicule the school uniform for being ugly to a new height, but as soon as she looked up, she saw a dazzling red in the dark blue. It was a red giant mountain bike. In this era, this kind of high-end and ostentatious mountain bike was even more eye-catching than a sports car. The red mountain bike was quietly parked in front of Shasan Elementary School's entrance, attracting countless people's gazes. The owner of the bike was a 17 or 18-year-old young man. He was still wearing Shasan High's brand new uniform. Though it was also a big and blue uniform, the young man looked really handsome and flamboyant. Sure enough, comparisons were odious, and goods had to be thrown away. Chapter 357. Su Wan looked at Su Rui, who was at the school entrance. Su Rui's gaze also went against the flow of people to look at Su Wan in the crowd. Even if there was a deep blue ocean in front of him and everyone looked the same with the bitter school uniform, Su Rui could still see her in the crowd. Then, General Su continued to shed lasagna like tears in his heart, such a small lowly. This didn't make sense at all. Although she was already 9 years old, the Su Wan in front of him looked thinner than Su Xiaosu. Gaou. At this time, Song Yang, who had skipped class with Su Rui, came out of the small store at the school entrance with 2 lollipops in his hands. You said that you came here to see someone. Is it your relative's child? What grade is he in? 2. Su Rui answered in a bad mood. Ah. Could it be that this master was throwing a tantrum because he waited for too long? Song Yang smiled after hearing Su Rui's tone. He was Principal Liu's grandson. Yesterday, his grandfather called his parents and said that an important person's child was going to his class. He had already told the teacher to arrange for the child to be by his side. Other than studying, Song Yang's main task was to build a good relationship with this official's child. Before seeing Su Rui, Song Yang disdained his grandfather and parents' orders. As a pillar of the country, he must not be corrupted by riches and he must not be subdued by force. How could he lower his head to the rich and powerful and be their lackey? However, when Song Yang saw this cold and aloof young master in the classroom, he was immediately intimidated by this young master's domineering aura. Damn! This was the legendary aura of a king, right? Hero, please accept this lowly one's lackey. This was the truth of how Chief Song became Master Gao's lackey. Of course, after many years, Song Yang would never admit this after he became a chief. You're here. At this time, Su Wan had already arrived in front of Su Rui with a big school bag on her back. Looking at the school bag that was almost as tall as her, Su Rui frowned and immediately walked to Su Wan's side. Without saying a word, he took down her school bag and shook it in his hands. Thankfully, it wasn't too heavy. It wouldn't make his wife unable to grow taller. Gaou, is this your niece? Seeing Su Rui's actions, Song Yang naturally knew that the person he was waiting for was this skinny little lowly. She looked like she was around 1.2 meters tall. She was in the 2nd grade already? He had thought that he was a little radish head from the 1st grade. What's your name? Song Yang smiled and shook the lollipop in his hand. Do you want one? If you tell Uncle what your name is, Uncle will give you this lollipop. Look, it's peach flavor. Su Wan. Do you want to die? Su Rui suddenly turned around and flicked Song Yang's head. Are you blind? This is my daughter-in-law, my younger sister, my god-sister. Su Wan. God-sister was a term full of ambiguity. Cough, cough, cough. Hearing Su Rui's words, Song Yang finally realized that calling himself uncle was taking advantage of Su Rui. Therefore, he immediately smiled and corrected himself. You're Gao's younger sister, so you're my younger sister too. Here, this lollipop is for you. In the future, Brother Song Yang will protect you on this street. As long as brother protects you, it won't be a dream for you to dominate the 13 little schools. Su Wan, General Su, where did you pick this idiot up from? Su Wan. While Su Wan was looking at Song Yang, a tender voice suddenly rang from behind them. Xie Chang'an quickly ran over with his backpack on his back. After running to Su Wan, he bent over and panted a few times. Then he looked at Su Rui with an unfriendly gaze. Su Wan, it's time to go home. The teacher said that it's dangerous outside, so we shouldn't talk to strangers. Let's go. I'll go back with you. Saying this, Xie Chang'an wanted to grab Su Wan's hand. Su Rui's gaze turned cold and he carried Su Wan to his side in a flash. Su Wan was speechless. Song Yang stared dazedly at Su Rui, who was protecting his child like a lioness. He was also confused. Master Gao, that's your sister, not your daughter. Even if she's your daughter, you don't need to protect her like this, right? Also, look at your cold gaze. What can a Shota do to your sister? Even if he wanted to, he didn't have the guts. Even if he had the guts, damn, he needed the equipment too. While Su Rui was looking at Xie Chang'an was also quietly looking at Su Rui. Both of their gazes were cold. Behind the coldness was a calmness that didn't belong to their age. Xie Chang'an, Su Rui narrowed his eyes, a thought flashing through his mind. Xie Chang'an. Su Wan quietly walked out from behind Su Rui. These two brothers aren't bad people. Su Wan, you don't understand. Come home with me. Xie Chang'an looked at Su Wan, wanting to say something but then hesitating. How should he tell her that the young man in front of him was called Gao and that he wasn't a good person? Xie Chang'an knew that he couldn't say it. Even if he did, Su Wan wouldn't believe him. No one would believe him. Even now, Xie Chang'an felt like he was dreaming. He was clearly drinking in front of Su Wan's grave. Why did he return to 30 years ago when he woke up? Right now, she was still a 9-year-old lowly. She wasn't his wife, nor was she the woman who lost her life for him. After seeing Su Wan yesterday, Xie Chang'an didn't sleep at all. He tossed and turned, thinking about Su Wan's voice and smile. She had been weak and slow since she was young. Many people even said that she was dumb and stupid. But wasn't this her strong point? Xie Chang'an didn't understand when he was young. Only after experiencing a few failed relationships did he gradually understand what kind of woman was the best. In his past life, he was fortunate enough to marry Su Wan under his mother's matchmaking. That was the luckiest thing that had happened in his life. Unfortunately, later on, Xie Chang'an seemed to have thought of something painful. He snapped out of his trance and smiled faintly at Su Wan. Okay, I didn't say that they're bad people. Let's hurry home. If you go back late, Uncle Su will be worried. Okay. Su Wan nodded. She took her bag from Su Rui's hands and then secretly glanced at him. Brother, I'm going. See you next time. Bye-bye. Wait. Here's the lollipop. Song Yang was quite enthusiastic and wanted to give the lollipop to Su Wan. Su Wan immediately shook her head. Big brother, you should keep the lollipop for yourself. I don't like to eat sweets. Saying this, Su Wn left with Xie Chang'an. Seeing the two small figures under the sunset, Song Yang was speechless as he tore open the packaging of the lollipop and licked it in satisfaction. Ah, you should have said so earlier if you didn't want to eat it. Do you know how much willpower I've used to endure it until now? Gaou, do you want one? Song Yang hadn't forgotten about his boss yet. They shared blessings and misfortunes together. If there was a lollipop, they had to get one each. I don't eat sweets. Saying this, Su Rui turned and rode away on his flashy mountain bike. What's wrong with eating sweets? Men who eat sweets are all adorable. Gaou, wait for me. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.